Hi, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Fresh Fit Podcast, man. We got a lot to talk about, man, when it comes to Tory Lanez trial.
I'm Meg the Stallion. This is why you don't dabble in the dark.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Fresh Fit, man. Today is Friday, which is normally a call-in show, but man, we just got some crazy news that came in probably about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
Guys, we're live on every single platform: Facebook, YouTube, all the channels, Twitch, Rumble, everything is live because obviously we want to make sure that all of y'all catch this because this is a very important topic that we just had to cover. We're going to cover the whole Brittany Renner thing, but that's not going to happen because this is way more important. I know that Academics is live right now with Lasan STILL. We will definitely jump in there and give our take on it. Just so you guys, get a little bit of a backstory. Just check us out on Rumble, guys. Rumble.com/freshfit. Check us out on Megaphone, as you guys know. Listen to us audio there. This episode will definitely be on there. Freshfit.locals.com.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit up Ak right now, real quick. Can you do the announcements?
All right, we got here as well Discord, guys. Hop in Discord if you want to talk about life, dating, all stuff in between. Shout out to merch gang as well. Fresh Fit Podcast merch. Get the merch, guys. It's wintertime. It's cold outside, man. Cold world. Stay warm, man. We got YouTube Fresh and Fit clips. Guys, this is the best content in bite-sized form on the Clips channel. Go sub to that channel because look, guys, I need to watch it. You don't watch the channel. So go sub to that channel, guys. 1 million on the way. Let's go on that one. And then as well, my vlog channel, check it out. We're going to do a live stream tonight with Mia Khalifa. Reacting to our TikTok videos as well. So, make it.
Oh, yeah. The Bimbo?
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then Myron's channel as well. Fed it?
Yeah. Fed 1811, guys, which we're live on it right now. Real quick. So let me give you guys kind of the backstory of what happened with the Tory Lanez situation so you guys have a better idea. Academic's going to call us here pretty soon, probably on Discord, and we'll jump into the conversation. I know he's having a talk right now with Lasan. So anyway, basically, guys, back in July of 2020 last year, Meg, Tory, and her friend, Kelsey, right, were at a party at the Jenner's house. And, they got intoxicated, extremely intoxicated. Yeah. And, Tory was kind of putting the Mac moves on Kylie Jenner. Meg didn't really like that. And they left, right? And they there's some disagreements on did they leave one time, then come back, or whatever it may be. But I'm just going to say, keep it nice and simple for y'all with the summary. They left, and Tory ended up leaving with them. An argument ensued in the vehicle, which we'll talk about that in more detail when we jump on the other stream, what they were arguing about. But an argument ensued between all three parties, Meg the Stallion, Tory, and Kelsey. At some point, the vehicle stopped. Meg got out, and then there were some gunshots fired, 5 to be exact. And Meg ended up getting some of that shrapnel in her foot. She alleged that Tory said, "Dance, bitch, dance." She turned around and she saw him shooting at her over the window.
And she also claimed that is because she said his music was trash.
Yeah, there was an argument about about his music. There was an argument about Kelsey between Megan having sex with men that she had put Kelsey on with before. Just for context, Kelsey is Megan Thee Stallion's best friend / assistant. They've known each other since college, and then during the trial, a whole bunch of different things went down. I went into detail on this on Fed 1811. So I'm sure if you're tuning into this stream, you more than likely know the general facts and circumstances surrounding this case. But let's see here. Let me. We should be getting a Discord call here soon.
And the whole point here is that the evidence does not show in any form or fashion that Tory did it indefinitely. It's like, okay, now there's a air of a mystery because we don't know for a fact that he did it. However, the jury declared that he was guilty. And it's like, bro.
Are you getting a call, Chris?
No.
You should be getting a notification.
Yeah, this is crazy, though, because, bro, I mean, dude, we knew from all the evidence in the court, people testifying, bro, no one knew for a fact that Tory did it. However, I don't know what's happening. If Rock Nation pulled some strings, if they paid off the jury, who knows what happened? But, bro, they declared that he was guilty, and to me that's bullcrap, bro. We can talk about more academics here as well, but it's just wild, bro.
Yeah, you're gonna see like a little notification, Chris, and then that's when you'll know that they're calling in right now.
And she lied so many times on the TV, bro.
Yeah,
on TV. Yeah, on her live stream, so many times. It's like, bro, like it's so much cap in there, and then they believe, bro. That's wild, bro. BelieveAllWomen is crap, bro.
The main thing you guys got to
literally that is profoundly important.
There we go.
That's her account that literally played a significant role in launching a criminal investigation.
Is that? But again, are we arguing what we think happened, or we're arguing what should be proven in court? If someone says I lied, like, okay, you can play the statement all you want, but I lied. I'm telling you the truth now. Is that person credible? Yes or no?
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Okay, you're going off what Kelsey said in September, but she literally showed up. I lied. I lied. She's saying I lied then, and I'm under oath now, and I lied. So I told you, I'm telling you I lied then. What's up? Are you going to say, okay, we're going to just ignore the fact you're telling us you're lying? And we're going to. I don't
think she never said she lied, by the way.
She did say she lied. She said she lied on her testimony. That's a big part of the reason why she took the Fifth Amendment.
Where did she say she lied on her testimony? She just said she can't remember, which is inconsistent for sure, because it was very clear when she was offering evidence to launch this criminal investigation. But I don't think she ever said I lied. She just said I can't recall.
Yo, Ak, Myron's here. We just joined in. Are you guys talking about Meg the Stallion right now? Or are you guys talking about Kelsey in particular? We literally just joined.
We're talking about Kelsey's statement.
Okay.
He's using the one from September. I'm using the fact that she got on the stand and said, fuck that. I did not tell the truth.
Yeah.
She never no. You can't embellish in this circumstance, because this is pretty important.
Okay.
She never got on the stand and said, I fucking lied. That's crazy.
Yes, she did. She got on this. These are the facts. These are the facts. This is what happened.
Okay, no. Before you say these are the facts, I want you to actually show me the facts, and not Milagro Grams, who has been proven time and time again that she was,
Okay, Mo Gagnat, who was there in person, who watched it, who is a lawyer himself. He literally said she took the stand. First thing she did was take the Fifth Amendment. You cannot take the Fifth Amendment unless you might be criminally culpable for a crime. Then they said, listen, we'll give you immunity if you testify. Keep in mind that
you can still you can plead the Fifth regardless. Like, you can just refuse to testify.
Hassan, I hate to say this to you, bro, but I used to investigate criminal activity. I used to be a former federal agent. I know
you're a Fed. I know.
So
I've seen.
I used to be. So I'm telling you, you cannot take the Fifth Amendment, okay, unless you're criminally culpable. That is why Gunna is not protected if they call him to testify. He has to testify.
What? No, you can definitely say I plead the Fifth. It doesn't matter if you're like criminally culpable or not. You can still refuse to testify.
No, you cannot, because you are compelled to testify, right? If you don't have a Fifth Amendment privilege.
No, it's a right. You can just say that you are pleading the Fifth, regardless of whether it's because you're incriminating yourself or not.
You can only take the Fifth if you might incriminate yourself. You cannot take the Fifth in any other circumstance. You are compelled to testify.
No, you can still. No, you definitely still can in any circumstance plead the Fifth. It doesn't matter what the truth is.
Hassan, I hate to say this, bro, but I thought you were smarter than this.
You can plead the Fifth, even if that doesn't immediately mean that you are self-incriminating. If that was the case, then that could be used as additional evidence, like you guys are trying to do right now. But that's not the case.
But she's not the one on trial.
Like in colloquial, in like the in normie speak, we always assume when you plead the Fifth, oh, that means they're guilty, like they're incriminating themselves. That's what we say, but that's not the case. You can plead the Fifth even if you are not actually incriminating yourself. That's kind of the point of being able to plead the Fifth.
Okay, then you know what? Let's use your logic,
it be used against you as evidence.
Let's use your logic then, Hassan. If that was the case, why did her lawyer fight tooth and nail to get her immunity?
Ooh. Here we go.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly. Exactly. Bro, just take the L. Just take the L.
This is the 14th of December. So this is Tory Lanez and Megan trial day 3. Kelsey takes a stand. She admits to lying to prosecutors about everything she told him in
No,
September.
you're reading No Jumper right now, who literally, by your accounts, got DJ Academics. They jumped the gun and literally posted about the verdict coming in before the verdict had actually come in. You can't just use their one-sided assessment of the events that took place. You originally went to Megan Cuniff. I'm watching your stream right now. You couldn't find the actual thing that you wanted out of her, so you went to find the No Jumper tweet. If you give me Megan Cuniff's actual court reporting, then we can have a conversation.
I got it.
It's like you citing yourself. Come on.
Hassan, you're missing the point here that Kelsey, right, changed her story. She went in and did an interview with actually the prosecutors, not even law enforcement, which is another big red flag. But she went ahead and did an interview in September.
Wait, say that. What's the red flag?
The red flag is she did an interview with the prosecutors with no law enforcement there, which is a huge red flag because prosecutors are not supposed to be direct witnesses in witness testimony when you're doing a criminal investigation. There's supposed to be an investigator there. And the reason why there wasn't an investigator there is because the lead detective, Stogner, right, he has some issues.
No,
with
you can definitely have prosecutors directly question witnesses.
No,
wait, what?
You need an investigator there. They can't be the only witnesses because they're the ones prosecuting the case. It's a conflict of interest. You need a sworn law enforcement officer there conducting and leading the interview. Prosecutors can be present.
Prosecutors are literally law enforcement officers pretty much functionally. So I don't know, like you're making it seem like they're operating on different teams here.
Yes, they do work together. However, you need an agent, a detective, some type of police presence there to do the investigation and to do the interviews, bro. And that's a big red flag.
Can I just address something really quickly?
Go ahead.
I love chat being like, no black voices. Hassan didn't want a black voice in that circumstance. Bro, No Jumper, Adam 22's operation. We're calling that a black voices now? Really? Halo Boom? Is that what you're saying in the chat? Dumbass. Shut the fuck up.
Well, anyway,
meme rapper.
The point I'm trying to make is there's problems with Kelsey's
meme rapper,
situation.
Okay, sorry, go on.
There's problems with Kelsey's situation because number one, she was interviewed by prosecutors only. There wasn't an investigator there, which is a problem in itself. And then second, she switched her story up. She said, hey, Tory did X, Y, Z and, made him criminally culpable. And then when she came in to testify, she immediately took the fifth. And then her defense attorney said, we need immunity. They tried to get immunity where she'd be covered all the way, but they were only able to get use immunity because obviously to get transactional immunity, which would be her protected all the way, that is very difficult to get. You would need a DA signature to get that. And obviously they're in the middle of a trial. They don't have time to go back to the DA saying, yo, we need the signature. So we're like, listen, we'll give her use immunity. We're on the record. We're not going to prosecute her. That's when she felt comfortable to go ahead and testify after that pretty much. So if she wasn't culpable, why would she fight so hard? Why would her defense attorney fight so hard to get her use immunity, bro? And you can only take the fifth, right? You can ask any attorney this. Any defense attorney will tell you this. You can only take the fifth when you might be giving testimony that might incriminate yourself. But if you're not necessarily giving testimony that's going to incriminate yourself and other people, then you're compelled to testify. That is why Gunna cannot assert the Fifth Amendment privilege if they call him to testify in the YSL trial. If Young Thug goes to trial, they're going to call Gunna on and he cannot claim Fifth Amendment. He will have to testify. That is a part of his plea deal.
Okay. So I can't speak on why she wanted to, why she no longer wanted to offer her testimony. Okay. She did get granted immunity. I'm pretty sure not the full blown immunity. If she was like to go up on that stand and be like, I actually shot someone. I was the one who shot.
Well, if she did say that, she would be
then
protected.
all of a sudden your case falls apart. Of course, the prosecutor is not going to fucking do that because someone could very easily fall out of favor with the victim, like Kelsey and Megan did, and then turn around and be like, you know what? Actually, I'm the one who shot it, but guess what? You guys gave me the fucking immunity. You know what I mean? Like that's.
Well, she could have went on the stand and said that though, because they gave her use immunity, which means her testimony that was given in that circumstance could not be used against her. However, that does not mean that law enforcement can't go interview other witnesses and build a case.
Inconsistencies. She could have very easily said, "I am here to tell my truth. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, and I was wrong originally." She didn't even say that.
Yeah, because she knew before she was lying. She got on the stand, bro, and said, I lied.
But you just explained that she got immunity from the original lie that she had told. If you're claiming that she originally lied.
Yes, she originally lied, and she didn't want to give testimony because
So
there's a
you're
good chance
admitting that she would not have been liable under perjury in that regard because she had gotten immunity to offer her true testimony in that circumstance.
No, what I'm saying is that she could have been found. There's a bunch of things that they could have hit her with. There's a bunch of charges she could have got hit with.
Like what?
Which is why, which is
like shooting,
which is why she took the Fifth Amendment.
Since you don't trust no jumper, I got my man. I think he writes LA Times, James Quealy. This is Kelsey on the stand. Our interview that they were trying to refresh her memory many times with. She says our interview was not 100% truthful.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make you feel good, brother? He literally said, "I'm not telling you." He said, "Whatever you're citing, I did not tell the truth." She basically said it and referred to it and kept almost looking at her lawyer to say, "Hey, if I answer this, am I getting fucked up legally?" And they did many sidebars. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, her interview not being 100% truthful, especially when there's additional circumstances involved in there, like whether or not I'm not familiar if she got asked the question about the $1 million that like
she did get asked
Tory
that
Lanez
question.
offered
She
them or something
declined it.
like that.
She did get asked.
But there are plenty of additional instances in that interview. You are the one who's inferring the parts that you believe is not truthful from that interview, and she still absolutely ended up getting. Just read the rest of that. What's the rest of the quote?
We're not trusting no jumper, but we definitely trust the LA Times.
Yeah, of course I trust the LA Times, and I trust court reporters.
So let me read it.
You yourself admitted that no jumper got. So if no jumper got, and fucking literally.
Okay, forget no jumper. Harris says she struggled with postpartum depression and a recent death in the family, and her mind isn't here right now. She also denied Lanez offered her hush money, which Megan alleged he did to the tune of $1 million. So she denied
the exact quote from her, by the way, wasn't an immediate denial. She literally said it wasn't exactly the way that was presented. I know what I'm talking about because I know what quote that was. The reason why we're bringing this up, by the way, is because she has postpartum depression now. She has a recent death in the family now. If anything, her evidence or her additional information that she's going to offer currently now and not back then is going to be less conclusive.
Wait, what about this one? Critically, she wouldn't confirm she saw Lanez with the gun, which she said in the recorded interview, or that Lanez threatened to shoot her. She won't confirm it in court. She's like,
she wouldn't
ask her.
Yeah, that doesn't. Wait, what do you mean? That doesn't mean anything. She already has.
Oh, you keep referencing.
Yes, she literally said yes because. You and I both know she went on the stand and said, I can't recall anything. I have postpartum. I'm depressed. I can't recall anything is basically what she said. And then she pled the fifth. That doesn't mean that she fucking absolutely lied. That's the reason why they played the whole interview.
In a court of law, if any type of witness or victim can't recall their statements and can't even affirm to it, right? Keep in mind, she's now under oath. She already acted weird with the, hey, I needed like immunity of this and third. She can't co-sign the majority of what she said in a goddamn interview, right? You think that the jury should be like, okay, let's just believe her. Really? Come on, brother.
Well, first of all, the jury did believe her, ultimately. The jury believed Megan Thee Stallion, who also is a witness in this circumstance. The jury also believed what she said originally, which is important to address in this circumstance. And the jury, of course, did not take into consideration that she pled the fifth, especially because she had the opportunity, given an immunity, to go back and correct the record and refuse to do so while simultaneously admitting that currently, right now, in this very moment, was not likely to give a clear-cut version of the events, considering her postpartum depression and a recent death in the family. That's what I'm stating. That's the reason why the jury deliberated in the way that it did.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, but you're missing a point here, Hassan. See, here's the thing. Tory gets that Fifth Amendment privilege to not testify and not being used against him. Kelsey does not. Kelsey's a witness in the case. She's not the one on trial. So if Tory asserts,
I know, but you can still say some dumb shit or potentially think that you're incriminating yourself, or ultimately say,
please let me finish.
You have the right to plead the fifth.
Please let me finish.
You have the right to plead the fifth, regardless of whether or not you're actually incriminating yourself or not. You just have that right. That is a right that you have.
You're just rambling, bro.
Bro, I'm telling you, Tory gets the privilege of them not being able to judge him for taking the fifth. Kelsey does not, because the Tory is the one that is accused. Okay? That is the reason why. So when Kelsey doesn't get that same Fifth Amendment privilege to that level as Tory, because he's the one that's actually being charged in a criminal case in a criminal court of law in the United States. So Kelsey doesn't get that, which is why she was like, I need immunity if I'm going to talk, because she is compelled to testify. That is why she asked for immunity in the first place.
Look,
go ahead.
You said that you have to be guilty to plead the fifth. That is not the case.
You don't have to be guilty.
Just for the record.
You have to be potentially liable, right, from a criminal standpoint to invoke the Fifth Amendment. Any statement that you may give can incriminate yourself.
May validly claim the Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. If you are an innocent witness, you can still plead the fifth. That is precisely the reason why we look at pleading the fifth as a right that people have and not as an indication that that person is somehow criminally liable, which is what you guys are doing right now. Okay?
You can only take the fifth.
The entire concept behind pleading the fifth would be null and void if we automatically assume that that person is fucking guilty every time they pled the fifth.
No. Pleading the fifth isn't an implication of guilt. However,
you are making it seem as though it is.
No. Well, I mean, one could take it as that, but if you have zero conflict with what's being asked of you when you're either subpoenaed and you're on the stand, you got to answer. You can't just magically say I plead the fifth and then say the judge says to you or you and your attorney, hey, okay, let's figure out why you're pleading the fifth, and you're like, no, just because I want to. They're not going to just be like, okay, you got it. Like,
here, I'll tell you the Supreme Court decision that the justices made on this regard, because like people do plead the fifth sometimes when they're innocent, or they might be afraid, okay, of one reason or the other. It's normal. The criminal justice system is fucking ruthless, right? In the 2001 Supreme Court case, the justices noted that the right against self-incrimination provided by the Fifth Amendment in Ohio versus Reiner, the court case that I was telling you about earlier, okay, that the Fifth Amendment protects the innocent as well as the guilty. The court added that a witness may have a reasonable fear of prosecution and yet be innocent of any wrongdoing. The ruling noted that innocent people might be ensnared by ambiguous circumstances. So her right to plead the fifth in this circumstance was given to her and was protected by the Supreme Court, specifically for situations exactly like the one that she was entangled in, where she could have very easily been fearful. She could have very easily been fearful that she might be
and fearful of prosecution. Now, granted,
but she committed crimes. That's because she committed crimes. She committed crimes.
No. But you're still doing that. But remember, you're still doing that. You're still claiming that she is guilty because she pled the fifth.
If you're saying she's,
but you are a fed, so I'm not surprised that you think that. But anyway, let's go on. Let's move on.
You're saying she's fearful of prosecution, right? You're literally alluding to the fact that maybe something that she did or could say would be in some realm of maybe being able to either the DA could pick up a charge on, right? We're not saying she's guilty.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter though. It doesn't matter because what matters is what she felt in that moment. If she feels like she could be ensnared for any reason whatsoever, she has the constitutional right to be able to plead the fifth in that regard. That's it. And that's what she did. She exercised it.
Hassan, do you not see that she was the prosecution's star witness and that is problematic?
Problematic.
In opening statements,
I do feel like the star witness was probably the person who survived getting shot, but you know, she was a witness. Yes, she was one of the big witnesses.
Yeah,
in that
but
regard.
Here's the thing: that's Meg. Meg is obviously the victim, so that's going to be a witness in itself. But I'm talking about the prosecution's star witness from a, how do I say this? From an unbiased standpoint, according to them, was Kelsey, and they talked about it in their opening statements. Kelsey's going to come in and weave everything together.
Yeah, when you get shot, you are a little biased. That's true. But, you know, you would probably be biased against the person who shot you. In this case, if you claim that it is Kelsey, then she should probably be biased towards her, right?
What? No, what I'm saying is that the prosecution in opening statements used Kelsey and said, Kelsey's going to come in here and weave together all our evidence. They were relying heavily upon what? A jail call, a text message, okay? And then also Kelsey's testimony. That's what they were weighing heavily on. And then for everything to make sense and come together, they needed Kelsey's testimony. So when she gets on the stand and takes the Fifth Amendment as the prosecution's main witness, mind you, that is problematic.
Well, she, like I said, originally did allow this entire thing to come together with her testimony. The text messages are also pretty damning too, like saying 911, Tory shot her, Tory shot Megan.
But that doesn't necessarily.
Why do you think she texted that, and then also gave corroborating evidence to that? And we're hyper focusing on like her pleading the Fifth, which is her constitutional right to do so for any reason. You know what I mean? Like she could just do that, which she did. She exercised that, but we just refuse to think about why she texted that. We don't think about why Tory apologized to every party involved. We're not looking at any of those instances,
because prosecutorial witnesses don't take the Fifth.
Draw reasonable doubt out of, like you're working for the defense team.
You're making an inference that the apology is for the shooting, while you're definitely absolving the reason why she would say I'm not taking a stand. Period. Unless as soon as she got on the stand, she said I'm pleading the Fifth. It's not that she was asked anything as soon as she got there. But so you want to make the inference that the apology from Tory, which was innocuous, honestly, didn't say what he's apologizing for. Say I'm sorry. That's all he said. But you're saying that's for the shooting.
What do you think? So wait, you think he's apologizing because like an altercation happened where like Kelsey shot Megan, right? That's what you were claiming.
No, because they fist fought. Yo, Hassan, it's because he exposed
the whole situation for the shooting.
Because like, look, if I was involved in a situation in a love triangle, as you claim, right? And the girl that was with me shot the other girl, I would not text like, I'm sorry to everyone involved. I'd be like, that was crazy. Remember when that bitch shot you? That was wild, right? Like that's what I would text. I think that's what
you're operating on 2020. Hassan, you're operating on 2020 hindsight. You got to remember, these are women. They're emotional. They're drunk. It's late at night. They just saw him trying to go ahead and get with Kylie Jenner. Obviously, they're mad. So he exposes.
I think Tory Lanez was very emotional.
I mean, you can say that. You can say that. That's fine. But my point is this: everyone's drunk too, and emotional. And right. And the other thing too, Kelsey. Right? He exposes Meg Thee Stallion for having sex with men that she had originally hooked up with Kelsey. So that is how the argument ensued. So we don't know definitively if he was apologizing for shooting or for putting out Megan's information to Kelsey.
That's like a much bigger thing that you would mention. You'd be like, that was crazy when Kelsey shot you, right? Because only one person said
that would be foolish to do that, though, Hassan. Let's be honest. I mean, he's not going to sit there and be like, yo, that was crazy that Kelsey shot you. No, he's going to say, yo, if he apologizes, we don't know what he apologized for.
So you're in a situation, you're in a love triangle. You get a lot of women, right? I feel like, or you talk about it all the time. You're in a love triangle. It happens all the time. One of the girls shoots the other girl. You're going to be like, I'm sorry. That's how it happened. You wouldn't be like, how fucking insane was that this crazy bitch shot you?
Conversations that he had.
Women, am I right? That's probably what you would say.
Right? Let me take this.
He's in custody and he's been recorded over the jail phone. Why do you think
Why do you think Kelsey texted 911? Tory shot Meg.
So now you're moving off the argument. Are we talking?
No. I'm asking you. I legitimately want to know, why do you think Kelsey originally texted that?
If you can see this point, because you're saying what the text from him should be, I'm telling you why it's not like that. He's in.
No, but tell me that. Just I want to know what you mean. Why do you think Kelsey texted 911? Tory shot Meg.
Oh, so by us moving to this, and I'm going to answer it. I'm feeling like you're conceding that other point, because what you're saying would be idiotic if you know you're calling off of a jail phone to say, hey, isn't it crazy when you got shot by so-and-so? You might as well give a fucking statement. Okay.
And not only that, Hassan,
because that's so you got to remember, Tory was protecting Kelsey.
He's a rapper, bro.
Saying,
he's
right?
a rapper. He cannot snitch. That is career suicide. Of course, he's not going to go ahead and incriminate someone else. He's a rapper, bro.
Answer the other one, because I have an answer for the other one.
He can't do that.
Because
okay, that's why. Okay, got it.
Hassan, every rapper that gets caught cooperating with the police or snitching or doing anything that might put someone else in jail, their career is ruined. So of course he's not going to go ahead and text her.
I don't know if their career is ruined. They can still go on DJ Academics' broadcast like Tekashi does.
Okay, man. Are we going to stick to the facts here? Or are we going to try to make side jokes? The point is that rappers cannot sit there and snitch, bro.
He's like, no enough.
Yo, this guy's qualified to talk about the culture or anything like that, bro. Dude,
Your facts, bro, are non-existent, bro.
Like, you're
we keep trying to
deflecting
argue.
crazy. You're just deflecting. I'm
Bounce
telling
it.
you why
I
it's
asked
not
you a simple
probable.
question, and nobody
I
was
just
able to
answered
answer
it.
this question.
I answered it.
It's a super simple question. It's
Tory
so direct.
cannot
Why
incriminate.
did Kelsey text 911? Tory shot Megan. If that's not the case, it's 3v1 now. By the way, holy fuck!
I'll answer that question, but I'm going to just assume that because you diverted, you basically like you bowed out of that other point.
I mean, you can assume whatever you want to,
okay,
but just give me the answer. I just want to know. I'm like genuinely
Now-
interested in your perspective.
Now I'll answer that question, but I really could just ask a question to answer, but I'll just answer myself. If I was the best friend of someone who just got in a drunken fight and I unfortunately shot at my best friend, okay, she got hurt. If I'm the closest person to her team, you think I'm going to text her team, hey, I shot Meg? Come on now. Would you text that?
So in that situation, you think a text message is necessary, right? Like you're saying that the text message is necessary. She's belligerent enough to fucking grab a gun, shoot Megan Thee Stallion, but then also somehow has it all together. I guess like the adrenaline kicked in and all of a sudden she's just like remembered the consequences of her actions and decided to very cleverly and devilishly text this ruse, even though Tory Lanez on Instagram comments has also said that Kelsey had not shot Megan Thee Stallion. And it like, so clearly like no one has said Kelsey shot Megan Thee Stallion. That has never even been brought up except for the blogosphere.
Are we going to hold what Tory said on Instagram, which we don't even know if that's him controlling his page? We're going to hold him liable for that, but we can't hold Meg liable for saying out of her own mouth a different story 5 times.
Well, I mean, it was used.
Thank you.
It was used, from what I understand, when an LAPD detective Warren Eberhard took the stand to testify that Tory Lanez's verified IG account once commented on a theory that Kelsey was the shooter, saying that's not true.
Okay, perfect. I'm glad you said that. Now, this incident happened 2 years ago. They asked that same detective, when did you see that message? Did you check the IP address of where it came from? Because you know, you could have an Instagram account and somebody could access it from Zimbabwe. Somebody could access it from Costa Rica.
So you think a hacking happened? That's why Tory Lanez, or you think Tory Lanez's so Tory Lanez's interns are fighting against Tory Lanez is what you're saying?
Mid-trial, when Mo went live, Tory Lanez's Instagram joined the live. You think Tory's in court joining live? He has people.
No, I don't. But
Okay,
do you think
but
someone with access to Tory's? Why is someone with access to Tory Lanez's Instagram account defending defending Kelsey?
Here's my point. I'm not saying you can't use that as some type of proof, but number one, you saw it a week ago before trial when you had 2 years to see it, right? Number two, you made no fucking effort to try to at least go out of your way to prove that he's the actual one that posted it.
Well, to be fair, I don't think they needed that because ultimately it wasn't Kelsey that was on trial. It was Tory Lanez on trial because, again, going back to the main thing, the 5 points that the prosecution laid out was pretty open and shut. Oftentimes, cops not very good at their jobs, okay?
No, it's not.
I can't talk about feds. I don't know how Myron was, but clearly he wasn't that good because now he's doing a fucking PUA podcast. However, okay.
You have to run for
However,
you're gonna attack the arguments, or are you gonna just attack the person?
That's all you do. It literally does seem like they had a lot of evidence, right? Like, I mean, holy shit, they had the witness who survived.
Politician more than you, brother. You gotta run for office. Like the way you're able to duck out of shit.
What do you mean? There's five points of evidence.
We hold you to a point, you move to another one, and then when we try to get you there, you flip to this other thing.
Bro, your counter was someone from Zimbabwe might have fucking controlled his account. The reason why they didn't even have to fucking find this is because they already had 5 points of evidence that was so damning in a situation where it was Tory Lanez versus Megan Thee Stallion.
We're being stupid. You cover all type of shit, even if you're covering like the search warrants that was like executed in Mar-a-Lago. Come on, you know if you're gonna use someone's social media writings and presence, nigga, at least motherfucking execute a warrant. Instagram is gonna show you exactly where it came from. They took a screenshot from the shade room. Is that what you want the fucking government to be putting people in jail for? That's all I'm trying to say. They found a screenshot.
Again, it's the reason why they didn't conduct that level of investigation on that regard was because, again, there was no like Kelsey is the actual shooter theory. There was no evidence that Kelsey was the actual shooter. One of the most damning pieces of evidence was also Kelsey's own fucking text message saying 911 Tory shot Meg.
If the police haven't done their due diligence and done their fucking job, you want us to consider some shit off Instagram? At least fucking run a warrant, okay? At least get the information in a right format that the jury could have some validation to the shit you're presenting. You're presenting shit like a blog. Unfortunately, academics has no, like, you know, I have no, there's no, like, fucking, you have to meet this
academics, you understand, they didn't need to do that because it was, you know.
And in court. Yeah,
but they didn't. But you know that they didn't need to do that. You know what I mean? Like they didn't need to. You understand why I'm saying they didn't need to, right?
You're actually relying on it to make your point. So if they didn't need to do it, why are you relying on it to make your point?
Oh, I'm bringing it up because I think that it's already in. There's already enough evidence, as I've shown time and time again, as to why I feel the way I do about the situation. I'm not even getting emotional about this.
Here's the point.
It seems like you are.
Here's the thing. Ak, let me take this, bro. Let me take this. Hassan, you do a great job of deflecting and doing ad hominem attacks, which is fantastic. But you know what? Let's go over each piece of evidence and actually talk about each piece of evidence with facts versus you making jokes ad hominem attacks. Number one, the jail call. He never actually admits to shooting at Meg. He's just profusely apologizing. The text message. Kelsey says, "Oh, Tory shot Meg." When they tried to bring in the witness to actually receive the text message so they can get some context, he didn't want to come in and testify. I wonder why. Also, the text messages between Meg and Tory, we don't necessarily know if he was apologizing for outing Meg the Stallion and her promiscuity in the past along with her friend, or if he was apologizing for Kelsey and Meg fist fighting because starting that conversation initiated the fist fight, or her getting shot. We don't know what he was apologizing for. It's ambiguous.
Yeah, but you're making an inference.
Here's the thing.
You are the one who's making an inference off of that, though.
I'm inference off of what exactly?
Like you are using that, like that in and of itself, apologies in and of itself, depending on which state you're in, are not admissible as evidence.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Because of the things that you just mentioned, right? Like,
but do you not see my logic here?
As evidence
that's what he's saying. Hassan,
I'm not using that as like evidence. I'm telling you,
I'm going through
that in and of itself, when we're having a conversation between normal human beings, is kind of odd. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because it's a weird thing to say when there's a much larger situation at play, right? What I mean by that is this. If someone is shot in your vicinity, oftentimes you would probably talk about that rather than apologize for like your own personal actions that are completely unrelated to that situation.
No, they are related.
Right?
Hassan, you're missing the point. Please let me finish my original point.
Circumstance,
please let me finish my original
bring
point.
Up the shooting.
Here's the
rather
thing.
Rather than fucking apologize.
Here's the thing you got to understand,
a minor argument.
Let me finish my point. The reason why, okay, he apologized. There's so many different reasons he could be apologizing for. It could be for them getting in a fight. It could be for him revealing Meg's promiscuous past. It could be for Kelsey hitting her or whatever it may be, her getting shot, him not wanting to leave the house because he was flirting with Kylie.
Okay, that's the main point of contention.
But you got to understand, that is the main point of consideration. Of course, though, you got to look at all the other underlying facts as to what he could be apologizing for. He could be apologizing for hitting on Kylie Jenner in front of her and disrespecting her.
Yeah, that's why I said like common sense, right? Like that's why I said if someone was shot,
but the point is
completely outside of your control, you wouldn't say, "Oh man, I'm sorry that like things got out of hand." You say, "That's crazy that she shot you."
He can't say that, Hassan, because he's a rapper and his ability, right, to sell records and make music is contingent upon his image. He cannot sit there.
We're making a lot of inferences.
No, it's not an inference. It's common sense, bro. When anytime a rapper,
is that common sense, bro?
Let me finish. Please let me finish my point.
If he's a rapper, why is he apologizing?
Because he can't openly say. He can't openly say, "Yo, that's crazy that Kelsey shot you." He can't
cite about
do that.
5 other cases. I can cite 5 other cases where a rapper who should have knew information about what actually happened, even if it happened to their own friend, just shut up. Most notably, Busta Rhymes, who his bodyguard, one of his best friends, got killed. The bodyguard's mom was crying in court, "Hey, why don't you cooperate?" He didn't say anything. That's just what it is.
I know.
He didn't want to cooperate when his friend got killed.
There's a difference between like saying it in court and saying it to the person that you're having a conversation with. If you're having a text message conversation at that time, when you think that like you have an ongoing relationship with that person, so much so that you're trying to fix it by apologizing to them, you would probably fucking still feel comfortable enough to be like, how
No, he
crazy is
wouldn't.
it that they?
Well, he's
how
got to have
crazy is it
some
that Kelsey
semblance
shot you?
that those
Is what
text
you would say.
messages are going to be used in a criminal court.
Hassan, you keep neglecting the point I made. One of the conversations, right, is Tory incarcerated calling on a jail phone. Why would he say anyone's name? You think he's in YSL? No, he's not going to say anything. Hey, I'm sorry this has happened like that. No more details, no more, no little, whether it was you or not. If you ask anybody from the urban hip-hop culture, they would probably say you shouldn't even make the call.
Yeah. And also,
whether you had remorse or not.
And also, Lasan, I know you don't know our culture like that in terms of like hip-hop and the whole rap industry. However, Tory, if he snitched in the very beginning, this will all be settled. But he didn't say anything because he knew his career is on the line. Now, regarding that as well.
Well, his career is still on the line because, he didn't really
But
have a career. Let's be real.
Respect,
but,
though.
2016 is the last time he was popping off. But
Tory's a big ass artist. What are you talking about? He's huge.
Oh, I mean,
Hassan, just because you might not listen to someone does not necessarily negate the fact that they're
can I
top
ask something?
artists.
Your co-host, how old is he?
How old you think I am, bro?
What does that have to do with anything?
I have no idea. I have no idea, but like you said Lasan, so I assume like 14.
Is that your name, bro?
Here's the thing, man.
Yeah, no, bro, come on, dude. You are a whole grown-ass man fucking using memes that 14-year-old white boys use on the internet. That is fucking embarrassing. Not to like dismiss everything
Hassan,
about
you're the master of deflecting, dude.
You
are
think
the
that's
master
a
of
good first
deflecting.
impression, dog?
You really are the master of
That is
deflection.
You know what's funny? All this over talking you're doing,
shit, you got
and
a
you're still
whole
wrong.
ass show for yourself too.
All this over talking you're doing, you're still wrong, bro. It's just hilarious, bro. The chat's laughing at you right now, bro. You look dumb right now.
Yeah, go back. Talk
Anyway,
about how Chad
let's
is
go back to the
defending you.
facts, Hassan. Let's go back to the facts. What I was saying was,
damn, dude.
okay, the text messages, the phone calls, okay, he never overtly said, hey, sorry for shooting you. And there's a bunch of situations that he could have apologized for. So that's number one. So we don't know exactly what he was apologizing for. And keep in mind, Hassan, it is on the prosecution to prove that Tory is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So that's ambiguous. It isn't clear. Then on top of that, we got gunshot residue, not only on Tory, but we have it on Kelsey as well. Not to mention that Kelsey and Meg Thee Stallion got in a full-on fledged fist fight prior to the shots going off. That is a fact that's been confirmed by Kelsey, and it got confirmed by Sean Kelly. Kelsey downplayed and said it was just a bump. However, they were 100% fist fighting to the point where a pendant was found on the floor.
Yeah, we already talked about Sean Kelly's testimony being inconsistent. I don't know if you were there for that, but
yes, but here's the thing: Kelsey also
gunshots, or was he just like
fair enough
on the fucking street, just watching the street for no reason, and then
Kelsey
happened to be a scuffle
also
there.
admitted they fought though. So that's what solidifies it. Kelsey also admits they fought. She downplayed and said it was just a bump, but the evidence shows otherwise. Your nail and everything. If someone just bumped you, your nail wouldn't fall off, and your pendant. They were full-on fist fighting.
I mean, look, I don't know the exact details.
That's the problem. You don't know the details, and you're talking. That's the problem.
yo, Hassan.
Well, ultimately, I know
you're out of your wheelhouse here, Hassan. Respectfully, with all due respect, you're out of your wheelhouse here.
There was enough evidence.
You're out of your wheelhouse here.
Look, you can say that all you want, but it doesn't seem like it, especially with this 3v1 situation. And you guys still look really silly. Ultimately,
what if I
they
said
might
that's
be
silly?
saying something different in your chat right now, but
what is silly
outside of your hug box? I doubt that is what's going on.
What is silly about what I said?
Having said that,
what I said that's silly.
Having said that, how is this your wheelhouse? I do not know. I mean, you're a Fed and you don't even fucking understand how the Fifth Amendment works. So maybe that's good that you're no longer a Fed. Probably.
Here's the thing, bro. The Fifth Amendment only works if you are going to incriminate yourself.
Court case,
and
what the fuck are you talking about?
No.
There's literally
you need reasonable expectation that you can be culpable criminally to be able to assert the Fifth. Because if that was the case, right? If that was the case, then everyone would just be like, "Oh, I'm just going to stay silent," and no one would talk in court.
Facts.
Dude, I'm
you
losing
can't use
my
the
mind.
Fifth Amendment, dude.
If the Fifth
You
Amendment
cannot use the
worked in
Fifth
the way
Amendment
that,
as a
dude,
blanket
I know
protection.
you have like cop brain, right? Because you're like you can't get out of the cop situation. But if the Fifth Amendment worked that way, it would literally imply that everyone who pleads the Fifth would be guilty. It would ruin the Fifth Amendment.
That's all. Real quick, because I notice you do this a lot. Like you throw mad ad hominem attacks. Like I think he's getting straight at least on Myron. He's getting straight at whatever.
Okay, bro, it's 3v1. I'm starting to lose it a little bit. I was respectful in the beginning, but goddamn, dude.
I've been respectful with you. I haven't attacked you personally one time.
Also, your fucking 40-year-old co-host called me Lasan like he's a fucking child.
Bro,
come on, don't talk to me
you're making fun of a
right now.
federal agent, bro. How old are you? 12? Nigga, he's serving our country. You making fun of him? You're lame, bro. Dead ass. So you making fun? Oh, Lasan, nigga, that's your fucking name, Lasan. You're a bum, bro. Talking about things that you don't even know,
Thank
bro.
you.
The point I'm trying to make here, Hassan, is that
thank you for serving our country, sir.
Here's the thing, Hassan.
Thank you.
I've actually investigated criminal cases. I've debriefed witnesses. I've been in federal court several times. I've testified hundreds of times. I have more experience in this than you do.
You still don't understand the Fifth Amendment? That's crazy to me. Like, that is actually crazy.
You don't understand the Fifth Amendment.
Facts.
You cannot randomly assert the Fifth Amendment unless you have reasonable expectation that those statements that you're about to give can incriminate you. It is the same exact reason why Gunna will not be able to use the Fifth Amendment privilege in his case.
Gunna, this is unrelated. You can literally.
I'm using it as an example.
Regardless, okay, you can plead the Fifth regardless. It is the law. Okay, it is.
You could plead the Fifth, but there are going to be consequences. You could be held in contempt of court. You can be. There's issues that could arise from that if you don't act. If there's no reasonable expectation that those things could be used against you. That's what I'm trying to say, bro.
I know what you're trying to say, but you're wrong. And I told you that there is a Supreme Court case on this exact issue that you're talking about. It does. I also literally gave you the exact reason as to why it doesn't work that way. Because if it worked that way, then everyone would just assume you're guilty all the time, every single time you pled the Fifth, which would literally destroy the Fifth Amendment in general.
Hassan, that wasn't his point, and even when I said that wasn't my point, right? It's, of course, pleading the Fifth Amendment.
No, because you're inferring that she is guilty, and you're also adding additional reasons as to why she might be guilty. You're speculating why she might be guilty. And saying that that's enough for reasonable doubt. Of course, it's not enough for reasonable doubt. She already gave her original testimony.
Yo, I know me in particular said that by pleading the Fifth, you could infer that that person believes that maybe something they could say could be used to prosecute them.
I know, but the jury cannot deliberate off of that. They can't make inferences in the same way that you are currently. Okay. So if you want to tell your audience, you want to educate your audience on how it actually works, instead of listening to Myron and his assessment of the matter, the reality is that when someone pleads the Fifth, you cannot assume that they are possibly guilty. Myron is absolutely wrong on this.
No,
okay?
that only extends to Tory Lanez. That only extends to Tory Lanez because Tory Lanez is the one on trial, not Kelsey, bro. Okay, if
no, it literally doesn't matter.
Why did she ask for immunity then?
An innocent
why did she ask for immunity?
No,
why
that's not true. You're wrong. You're just wrong. You do not understand the law that you were supposedly protecting at the point.
Yo,
dude, well, Hassan,
you're just wrong.
Hassan, the only person that can assert that Fifth Amendment without being judged is Tory Lanez because he is the one on trial, not Kelsey. If that was the case, Kelsey would not have asked for immunity. That is the difference. And the jury can absolutely use the fact that she took the Fifth Amendment in their deliberation.
I'm gonna be honest. With you.
They absolutely can.
Okay, like we know cops are bad at fucking knowing the law, right? But I really thought feds would be a little bit better at this. You are wrong. It does not matter if she's on trial or not. She, as an innocent third party, absolutely has the right to plead the Fifth.
She does.
Because she thinks she might be. It doesn't matter for what reason, okay? And the jury cannot deliberate or infer or speculate any sort of guilt off of that. Because if that was the case, then you would undermine the entire reason behind why the Fifth Amendment.
You know what? How about I bring a lawyer in here and show you that you're wrong?
Ooh.
How about I bring a lawyer in?
Yeah, Hassan,
if you want, but it's the Constitution and the Supreme Court case, Ohio v. Reiner, is pretty fucking clear on this.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what a lawyer is going to tell me. Now we're making it 4v1, which is holy shit.
Wait. Hassan, I'm just mentioning the fact, right? So in the closing by George, which is Tory's lawyer, he did ask the jury to consider why did she need to plead the Fifth. Need immunity, actually. Need immunity, right? So they brought that up, and also I probably forgot the first thing I was trying to say. So after she got immunity, like the judge, she did try to plead the Fifth while on the stand still, and the judge forced her to answer a few things.
Yeah.
So
I just don't understand. Like, Lasan, just to make this very clear, you're telling us that you've never been in the courtroom yourself, telling us about the Fifth Amendment, and you have an ex-Fed here telling you to your face what it is. This is a dumb argument, bro. I mean, you're not qualified at all, bro.
I really
However,
hate
we can bring a lawyer
to say
here
this, but
to
yes,
also bring it as
first
well,
of all, yes, unfortunately, the reality of the situation doesn't change when you tell me that someone has been a Fed, and that is the reality. Like, I know you're trying to desperately at least like create some position of authority here, but that doesn't change the reality of what I'm telling you. Yes,
you're Googling answers, bro. You've never been in a courtroom yourself.
Surprising. It is surprising to me as well. I mean, okay, yeah, I'm a Googling expert, I guess, but ultimately, I'm still correct, and you're still incorrect. And also, you're not the Fed, so I don't know what the fuck we're even talking about this circumstance. I'd rather be a Googling expert that is correct than be the second in command next to a Fed who is incorrect.
You're still wrong, though. Like, what are you arguing here, bro?
Okay, I'm beginning to like you. My bad. I take it. You're dope. You're fucking dope. You're dope.
Thank you so much, bro. Thank you so much, bro.
The whole conversation. The whole conversation.
You're dope. You're dope. You're dope.
Has been derailed about this one particular meeting. And
well,
like
it's a big piece of your argument is that like her testimony was like inconsistent when she didn't offer additional testimony.
You guys are having a back and forth right there. I was allowing that to happen. That was part of his argument. But like even without that being said, I mean, are you saying that if he can't argue that his point was were invalid?
What point?
The point that he was arguing with you about why her testimony, number one, might just look a little shaky.
She's not a credible witness, Lasan. At the end of the day, bro, she's not a credible witness is my main point in all this situation.
I don't agree with that. I think that she was a credible, she was initially when the investigation was being conducted, she was absolutely a credible witness. She might have changed her perspective for reasons that she also included, having postpartum stress, postpartum disorder, being depressed because of a death in the family. But ultimately, her new testimony is less,
that does not absolve her of being a liar, bro.
The fifth is less conclusive than her original testimony, which is why they played the original testimony in court.
Dude, she quite literally said that she lied. That makes her a non-credible witness.
They actually understand, hey, is
like you're pulling her less credible moments now rather than the moments where she had more clarity back then when she talked to the cops.
Well, I'm going to rely on when she's under oath. I'm going to rely on when she's under oath rather than when she's doing a phone interview with and it's not the cops, it's the prosecutor. She never talked to the cops.
The
lead detective got put on administrative leave. She was going to show up via subpoena. They postponed it to December, and because they haven't talked to her in such a long time, because they've been requesting to try to talk to her, they say, hey, let's get something on record. And that's when the prosecutors, who you could ask Myron, even though you feel like he's not credible, you could ask, the prosecutors actually do these interviews frequently with people who are considered witnesses, or is it an agent or a detective? You get what I mean? This whole thing, like even from
prosecutors are literally just another arm of the criminal justice system alongside cops. They're not in contention with one another. They are, unless we're talking about very unique instances where they're like prosecuting a cop. They're not. That's not
how information is usually gathered.
And also, she didn't recant any of her. Prior testimony. She only said, like you also pulled up, that she does not want to offer any testimony now. That's it. By the way, she admitted that she can't recall, and she can't recall.
Okay, all right. So if you're mentioning
a lot of the things that she had said, and a lot of things that had happened.
How about we also mention that she also said on the stand that when they asked her, "Hey, are you intimidated by Tory being here?" She said, "No." Are you intimidated by whatever? She says she's only felt pressure coming from the prosecutors. That's why they had a sidebar right after the jury left, and the prosecutor basically said in open court that they felt offended that they're being accused of trying to either coerce a witness, which they believe they did do. Then they later got permission to play her initial interview, and they got permission to play the interview to show that she was not under duress when she gave it. But what did she say in court? She said if she was feeling uncomfortable, it was because of the pressure from the prosecutor. I get it. You are selective with what you're going to believe. And
No,
you know,
I'm just telling you. No, I'm not selective with what I'm going to believe. First of all, you're doing the exact same thing that you claim I'm doing, right? Like you refuse to, you omit certain details, or you have no answer for certain details, or when pressed on it, you say, oh, it's probably because he's a rapper. Like that's not even a good defense in any meaningful way. Like
no, that's
there are
definitely
so many pieces of evidence in this entire process. There's so many pieces of evidence in this entire process from number one, the witness surviving the shooting attempt.
Meg is not credible, Hassan.
I was shot by this
Megan is
person.
not credible, though.
But that's crazy. How can you say that?
Okay. She's
Dude,
lied.
what the
She's
fuck
given.
does that
Hold on,
even
Hassan.
mean? Can you explain to me?
I will.
No.
I will.
With a
I'll explain it to you
straight
right
face,
now.
I want you to say
I'll explain it to you right now.
The shooting victim is not credible when she is able to survive the shooting and offer testimony.
I'll tell you why
That's
right now.
crazy.
I will tell you why right now. She gave conflicting information on her Instagram lives with the Gail Knight interview versus what she testified to. On top of that, the prosecution gave a different story on opening statements than she did when she was on the stand, bro. That's what I'm trying to say. Meg is not credible. She openly lied about her sexual past.
Within what the prosecution said and what Megan Thee Stallion said.
I will cover that here in a
Not
second because I have it in my
Instagram lies and
notes.
shit.
But let me tell you that don't worry, I already took notes because unlike you, I actually watched this case and I know the details. You don't. So here's the difference.
I would. Go ahead. Well, if I don't know any of the details of the case, why does it still look like you're having a hard time fucking convincing anyone of what happened? Other
the
than
chat is watching right now.
Woman crazy. She was emotional, but also somehow Kelsey, also being a woman, may or may not have shot Megan Thee Stallion, but also had the wherewithal in that moment to like fucking turn around and text 911. Tory shot Meg.
To her bodyguard. To Meg's bodyguard, yes. To Meg's bodyguard, she sent that.
Yeah. Okay. So why did she say that?
Dude, there could be a multitude of reasons as to why she would say that. Maybe she was criminally culpable and wanted to point the finger at someone else.
She was hysterical enough and drunk enough to shoot Megan Thee Stallion off of like some random bullshit, okay? Because like you say, or at least academics said that it was random bullshit. Like Tory Lanez would never shoot Megan Thee Stallion over like being called short or being called not popping.
We'll talk about this in a second. First, let's talk about how Meg is not credible, okay? Meg is not credible because she omitted a critical factor, right, on a public interview, which the reason how she got on a public television interview in the middle of a criminal case is beyond me. But the point is that she said, I did not have a sexual relationship with Tory Lanez. Then she gets on the stand and she admits she did have a sexual relationship with Tory Lanez.
Wait,
she lied.
Yeah, that's first of all, yeah, of course, that's fucking embarrassing for her to.
But that's important.
That doesn't make her inconsistent in regards to whether or not she got shot, bro. What the fuck?
It absolutely is an important fact. However, because
what?
Yes,
that's insane.
All right, are you gonna let me finish?
This is a private affair that she probably felt fucking really embarrassed by because she fucked the dude who was like 5'2" and shot her.
Okay, the point here, bro, is that
wasn't even
the argument stemmed.
If she fucked Drake, she'd probably talk about it all the time, but she fucked Tory Lanez.
Let me finish my point. The reason why that is material is because when Tory Lanez exposed Meg for having sex with not only him, but Kelsey, and he exposed the fact
an expose. What you're talking about is like TMZ shit while you're talking about a fucking criminal court case.
That's the entire reason they fought, dude. I'm trying to explain that to you. It is an important factor.
But
she lied about that.
She's the victim.
You're
literally talking about a victim and making it seem as though the victim is like the actual criminal. She's not on trial, bro. What the
still has a responsibility to be truthful.
Whether she fucked Tory Lanez or not.
The victim must be
the sequence of events that lead up to a shooting does not matter.
Bro, credibility. Of course, the events that lead up to a shooting matter, but it is fucking insane that you think this is a good case. Of course, Tory Lanez went to jail.
Hassan, you're being emotional right now.
You think that that's a good enough defense?
Hassan, you're being emotional right now. Let me finish my point before you go crazy and just react versus actually listening to what I'm saying. What I am saying is that she is not a credible witness because she lied in a public interview saying she did not have sex with Tory Lanez. Now, before you get outraged, the reason why, let me finish. The reason why that is extremely important is because the entire fight is predicated on the fact that she had sex with Tory Lanez because she backstabbed her friend Kelsey. Kelsey went to Texas because she had COVID, and Meg Thee Stallion started a sexual relationship with Tory. That is why the fight ensued in the first place. That instance
Yeah,
caused Kelsey
you know
and Meg to fight each
she
other.
Still got
so it's
shot though,
important
by Tory Lanez.
But,
but
here's the thing: she has to be credible and be honest. She was not honest about that.
No, that part doesn't matter.
It does matter.
You can fucking make an argument is like a matter of personal privacy. So of course, what she's saying in public, in a fucking interview in public, when she's embarrassed to admit that she fucked Tory Lanez because he wasn't even popping. Okay,
but that's the point I'm trying to make.
Entirely irrelevant. Like that's not something
she shouldn't have done the interview. Then
why she shouldn't have done the interview. That's the reason why Tory Lanez lost, by the way, because that's what the argument the defense made. Okay, as though that was like a serious way to fucking defend this person.
Bro, she wasn't embarrassed. There's a picture of Tory and Megan Stallion bent over with Tory. She's not embarrassed, bro. That's cap. So that argument is flawed. She's not embarrassed at all.
No,
bro.
I think she's well, you know, you do things and then you might be embarrassed by them afterwards is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Well,
like
Hassan, that's cool. But the point I'm trying to make is that you cannot argue the point that her having sex with Tory is not a part of the case. That's very important because that's what led to the entire argument and the fight.
Public interviews and saying something in a public interview, especially when it's like, you know, the person who shot you and being embarrassed to admit that you fucked that person.
Did Megan Thee Stallion lie? Yes or no?
Also,
did Meg Thee Stallion lie? Yes or no?
About what?
Did
about
she lie about
Tory
her?
Lanez? I guess she did. Who gives a fuck? What do you mean?
That-
I'm saying who gives a fuck? She got shot.
So she lied. So that in itself hurts her credibility in a court of law. That hurts her credibility.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
It does.
It's like, no, you're not understanding what I'm trying to say here.
Please.
Okay, I'm gonna say this again.
Sure.
What she said in the media, okay, is completely irrelevant, especially because it does not pertain to the one-to-one immediate fucking back and forth that occurred that night. Okay, it's not like she fucking lied about. She ever said like Kelsey actually shot me and then went back. If she had said that, then you have something. But her saying, I never fucked Tory Lanez, he's 5'2", and he's got no fucking hits since 2016, that's irrelevant. That's not relevant to the subject matter at all. But I know you want to make it relevant to the subject matter,
though.
But she didn't actually lie about any of the fucking information. The first time she actually made a statement, okay, to the cops was still to defend Tory Lanez, to say that she stepped on glass, even though that was not the case.
That was a lie too.
You get that, right?
Yeah, that was a lie as well.
Yeah, of course, that was. And she admitted that. She admitted she lied.
So what you're missing here is that when you lie,
is more relevant. That is more relevant to the case originally.
No, her credibility is relevant
because she lied. She
multiple times.
Mentioned why she did that. She also mentioned why she did that. Ultimately, it doesn't matter though, because if she's lying about that, if she's originally defending Tory Lanez, right? If she's originally defending Tory Lanez, okay, why did she turn around and blame Tory Lanez afterwards? What do you think happened there? Do you think it was because a criminal investigation was launched and then she had to fucking tell the truth, despite the fact that knowing full well that there would be dudes like you that would come after her and be like, oh, she's a fucking liar, even though she got shot. Did she even actually get shot? Who knows? Yada, yada, yada. Like,
here's the thing, bro.
Probably she didn't want to rock the boat. She wants to do PR. She's popping off. She doesn't want this kind of fucking attention, which she admitted time and time again.
That does not absolve her of her responsibility to be truthful. That does not absolve her of her responsibility to be truthful, especially when she is the prosecution's witness. She shouldn't have given all these interviews, etc.
I have another question for you.
Her credibility is very important.
Megan Thee Stallion a rapper?
Yes, she is a rapper.
Okay, maybe she wanted to fucking tell, maybe she didn't want to snitch because she's a rapper. Just like you said, Tory Lanez didn't want to snitch because he's a rapper. I think one is more valid than the other.
No, she already snitched.
She already snitched. What are you talking about?
It's too late. She already snitched.
And female rappers are not held to the same standard. Female rappers are not held to the same street ethics and codes that male rappers are. Nice try, though.
Oh shit, dude. Yeah, that makes sense. That's just male rapper code. Okay, got it.
Yes.
Bro, come on. You argue like a 14-year-old Myron. Like, what do you mean? Oh, in my worldview, only male rappers have that snitch code. So there's a double standard there. Like, come on.
Facts. Bro, this is facts.
Practice the stick so good.
Come on,
this is facts,
dude. I mean, come on. I told you guys if the roles were reversed, I would 100% have the exact same fucking take. Okay, if Megan Thee Stallion shot Tory Lanez and the other party involved there was like, yo, Megan Thee Stallion shot fucking Tory Lanez, I wouldn't turn around and be like, let's look into this a little bit further. Let's be more skeptical of the narrative here. Like, that's crazy.
Hassan,
It's like you don't ever get an open and shut case like this, and yet you still were able to simultaneously create a separate narrative here.
there is no separate narrative. It's been documented several times where male hip hop artists have been asked, would you provide information to the police? And they would say no. Cameron famously went, I think it was either 60 Minutes or something, asked him, would you go to the police if there was a serial killer living next door? He said, no, I would just move. Okay. We gave the example of Busta Rhymes. T.I., his best friend got killed. He did not want to testify against the shooter.
We're talking about completely unrelated things now.
I'm giving you examples documented that rappers do not go to the police.
And police are
That's my argument.
Quavo is uncooperative. He don't want to talk to them. And his fucking
this is not like, none of this is relevant to what we're having a conversation about.
It's relevant because Tory's not going to go and say Kelsey shot her, bro. That's the point I'm trying to make here. Rappers understand that their image is everything, and cooperating with the police will destroy their ability to create music and sell records. And we're giving you these instances so you understand the severity of rappers coming out and providing information to police. Look at Gunna. As soon as he got released, he gave a statement through his lawyer saying
this is only male rapper code, right? Like it's not female rapper code. Is that what you're saying?
Male rappers are held to a higher standard when it comes to the street code, when it comes to hip hop music, bro.
So
yes.
Do you think there are no female rappers who've done that?
I'm sure there are, but there aren't the same consequences. Meg Thee Stallion still will enjoy a commercial success.
Oh, this is crazy. I mean, this is a crazy conversation we're having, by the way. Like
females and possibly domestic violence. For example, when Rihanna came out saying Chris Brown did whatever to her, everybody heralded her as very brave.
Because she was fucking. What do you mean, dude? Come on.
Hold on.
Wait, so what? Like people are not.
Why is your reaction like I'm upset at it? No, that's how it should be. But I'm just showing you the difference between genders. That's the only point. You're saying you don't.
Oh, yes, because you're bringing up a victim. Okay, bring up an instance where someone fucking was the victim. Okay, and they didn't go to the cops. But it doesn't even matter because we have no. This is completely irrelevant. This is completely irrelevant to the conversation, regardless. Okay, there are plenty of female rappers like Lil' Kim that also went to fucking jail for a year plus 1 day for lying on the stand to cover for her fucking friends. This shit doesn't fucking matter to the case overall. You're trying to create a narrative where it's like a men versus women thing, but it's ultimately about what happened on that day, on that morning. Okay, what happened on that morning?
If Blueface went to the cops for those 2 black eyes his girl gave to him, we call him a snitch. If Jay-Z went to the cops if Jay-Z went to the cops after Beyonce's sister gave him a fucking 92 combo, it was straight chops, straight to his chest, we call him a snitch.
I understand what you're saying, but that is completely irrelevant to the conversation unless you're talking about, like, you're trying to make the whole Tory Lanez apologized, but didn't say like, wow, that's crazy that someone shot you, stick by saying, oh, because like rappers don't snitch. That's not snitching. Going to the lawman is snitching. Saying what the fuck happened that night. That's crazy that you got shot. I can't believe this person shot you. That's not snitching. That's a text message between 2 friends at that time. Okay. You don't apologize to someone who is an enemy. You apologize to someone who you want to make amends with. So my point is, at that point, Tory Lanez was apologizing specifically because he was the responsible party.
In custody. If you're in custody, why the fuck would you drop a name? Why would you drop a name? If you get locked up for, let me see what type of guy you are, right? Say you're kicking it with your little high school buddies, and let's say, I don't know, maybe one of them has an illegal gun in the car, okay? You all are locked up. Would you call your other friend and be like, yo, do you know that Marcus had the gun in the back? Would you say that on the jail phone, brother?
Bro, you and I both went to Rutgers, dog, okay? This whole, like, street cred shit is so stupid, okay? We went to the same college, okay? Academics.
Oh, come on. Wait, no, that's not about street cred. It's about, why would you say something on the jail phone? The statement you're getting that you're trying to use as 2 people privately talking to each other was recorded on a jail phone. You might as well just put it in writing for the jury. It's not like they ran a warrant on his phone later on and said this was a text message that you thought you guys were the only person going to see. Anybody who has gotten locked up, or if people are doing crime, not saying that I was trying to say that you're a criminal or whatever, or neither am I. But here's the point. But listen, here's the point. you're acting like Tory should have said a name when he knows the fucking warden, or not the warden, but the person who is in charge of the jail is listening to his call.
I mean, he ambiguously self-snitched is what I would say, regardless, ultimately, by apologizing.
And you wanted him to say a name, so you wanted him to snitch regardless.
Also, I thought he texted her. Am I wrong? Is that incorrect? I thought he like sent a text message as well.
I could have been anybody.
No, he texted one of them and he called one. He called one the night of.
Okay.
I mean, here's the thing.
Night of. Okay.
Yeah.
And when he
wait. You know. So the texting is not a jail phone, right? Like, so why do you think he did that then?
You just yo Hassan, man.
But I'm asking you a question. Come on. Why do you think? Why? So the texting is not the jail phone. He's not in custody. He's sending a text message. Why do you think he texted that?
Oh God.
I mean, that's a real. I can't ask you a single question without you being like, "Oh, I'm so good at fucking debating."
Hassan, the answer to that, I got the answer to that. We don't know the answer, Hassan. We don't know the answer. There were so many different factors going on. The two best friends fighting, him hitting on Kylie Jenner right in front of her wanting to leave, and Tory not wanting to leave the first time, and then he had to come back and leave with them the second time. There's so many different situations.
A shooting, right?
Hassan,
like the main point of contention there is a shooting,
and it could have been he was sorry.
Oh man,
Hassan, he could have been sorry that she got shot, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's a trigger man, bro. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There were so many factors that went on that night that he could have apologized for. It doesn't necessarily have to be that it was just the shooting or him shooting at her. It could have been her getting shot by someone else. The apology is ambiguous. We don't know the situation. Why?
You think he says sorry you got shot by someone else?
Dude, it could have been for him hitting in front of Kylie. It could have been him exposing.
I'm telling you, maybe you guys have. Maybe
Hassan, there's a multitude of reasons.
Maybe there's a third shooter. Okay, I want to know. Who was at the grassy knoll? Who was at the grassy knoll?
Hassan, the reason why I'm giving up and I'm letting Myron rock because it reminds me because I watched a good amount of your content. And you sound like the same dude who was debating with Charlie Kirk, man. And I felt like you was just going in a circle while that boy was giving you the work. So I hear it now, and I'm like, yo, this is great. Let Myron deal with you because we're not about to just keep going in a circle, bro. Like I'm already dizzy. Bro, yeah. You're refusing to even concede on small points that we can't even go forward, my nigga. Like it's like you're
like
just
what? I mean, but there's no. There are inconsistencies with respect to what Kelsey said afterwards, but we've addressed them, right? Like I already addressed them. I told you.
But the fact that there are inconsistencies,
I didn't address them. She addressed
Hassan,
she said it.
You're missing the point.
She said what she said.
Whenever a witness has inconsistencies, that makes the witness less credible. Do you not understand that testimony needs to be uniform across all platforms? If you say one thing here, they get on the stand and give something here, that hurts your credibility. My argument is simply this.
She gave nothing though on the stand.
Kelsey
she literally
and Meg
said that she has postpartum and also on top of that had a death in the family.
That is not an excuse to lie.
She's having a hard time recalling incidents.
That is not an excuse to lie.
In and of itself is an inconsistency, certainly, but it's one that has been addressed. And I think that it was enough for the jury to
saying I have postpartum depression is not does not absolve you of your duty to tell the truth as a witness. That hurts her credibility. So did Meg. I am arguing simply this. Kelsey and Meg are not credible witnesses because they gave inconsistent stories pertaining to the shooting from the beginning, between Meg getting on IG Live and giving different recounts of the event to her getting on a public interview on television saying she did not have a sexual relationship with Tory. And that was extremely material to the situation because a fight broke out, as said by Kelsey as well, due to Tory Lanez having a sexual relationship with Kelsey. So what I'm saying is that Kelsey and Meg are not credible witnesses. And then you add in the factor that they were all drunk. So that hurts their testimony even more.
Megan Thee Stallion's not a credible witness?
No.
Because she didn't want to admit that she fucked Tory Lanez. Like, that's crazy. Come on.
But that's a material fact that's important.
In a TV interview, like unrelated to the fucking court case. Come on.
Everything is related. Everything is related.
Bro,
public statements can always be used.
That makes her unrelated. It's like, oh, you lied when you were 14 years old one time. So, like, sorry.
No,
sorry
but she lied about the investigation. She lied about the investigation.
You're not a credible witness.
Yes, because she gave a differing story on a material fact in her own criminal investigation case where she's the witness.
That is not a material fact.
Yes, it is.
That is not a material fact. A material fact would be, if you want to talk about material fact, you could actually bring up the fact
we're not
that
talking about
she
that.
originally said she stepped on glass.
No.
That
I'm talking about
material fact.
her
That is
leaving out
inconsistent.
having
The
sex
material
with
fact is
Tory.
not saying
That's
I didn't
very
fuck Tory
important.
Lanez.
That's important.
Bro, that if that was important, then the court would have argued that was important. But luckily,
They did argue
the jury and the criminal justice system doesn't operate like a bunch of fucking manosphere podcasters. Holy fuck. Come on, dude.
Bro, the fights between her and
she
Kelsey
can fuck the whole team if she wants to. She still got
She
shot.
can do whatever she wants.
It doesn't matter.
But the shooting happened because she fucked Tory Lanez, which means it's important.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Bro, there's good evidence that Kelsey could have been the shooter, and they argued over Tory Lanez. You're telling me that wasn't relevant to the facts?
Of a dick.
Oh,
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Bro, it is extremely relevant because Kelsey could have been the shooter.
Why? Also, the other part of this is that's crazy to me is like everyone's fucking mad at Megan Thee Stallion who got shot, and like no one's mad at fucking Kelsey who apparently is the real shooter. You know what I mean? There's no good evidence that she was the shooter. She did test positive for gunshot residue.
Do you know why
Sean
that
Kennedy
matters?
also
and
said
Tory
he saw a
Lanez
female
both
shoot.
failed the GSR test. They both failed it. That's true. The DNA evidence on the gun was inconclusive. That's also true. That doesn't mean that there was no DNA evidence for Tory Lanez. That does not mean that there was no DNA evidence for Kelsey. It was just simply that it was inconclusive.
Okay. And in the court
Those
of law,
facts are correct.
it's supposed
You
to be
are correct
beyond a
if you were
reasonable
to bring
doubt.
those
What I'm
up.
saying is that there was doubt here. There was a significant amount of doubt. We got witnesses that aren't credible. We got DNA tests that aren't being conclusive. We got witnesses saying
It doesn't matter. Yeah, of course, DNA can sometimes be inconclusive. That's why you rely on the entire situation. That's why you rely on witness testimony. And guess what? Here's the reality.
Witnesses that aren't
if you
credible.
shoot someone.
Witnesses weren't
if
credible.
you shoot someone, if they survive, you're kind of fucked. That's it. That's it. Like ultimately, this is where the court case starts, and this is where the court case begins. You shoot someone and they fucking survive, you are fucked. That's it. You can say, Your Honor, she fucked the whole squad, though. Your Honor, she lied about fucking someone, but then said that she actually did fuck them. It doesn't matter. She got shot by the dude, and she said, This motherfucker shot me. That's it.
But she's not credible. It could have been Kelsey shooting her.
Maybe
Could have been
then
Kelsey
you can
shooting
argue
her.
like, oh, well, that's inconclusive.
Could've
And the
been
DNA
Kelsey shooting
evidence or
her.
whatever. He didn't finish the job.
Could've been
Lasan,
Kelsey.
do you know why people are mad at Meg? Because she lied multiple times. That's the big issue here,
Bro,
bro.
no,
She lied
I know why people are
multiple
mad at
times.
Meg because you have built an entire career shitting on women. That's why,
No,
you know,
we
and
spit
there's
facts.
plenty
What does that
of
have
people
to do
who
with
also
anything?
fucking
We
really
spit
don't.
facts.
What does that have to do with
The
anything?
only
Hassan?
oh my
All
God.
you do is do ad hominem attacks. You don't argue the points. I'm saying she's not a credible witness because she lied on
What do
multiple
you mean?
occasions.
Of course I argue the points. Dude, if we're talking about ad hominem, you literally keep bringing up the fact that Megan Thee Stallion in a TV interview says she didn't fuck Tory Lanez, but then openly admitted that she fucked Tory Lanez
Because
in court.
that goes to
Like, that's
speak
it.
about
That's
her
not-
credibility. It shows that
and you're
she's a
saying that,
liar.
like, the case should be thrown out or something.
It's
as a consequence
relevant
of that.
because
That's
she's a
fucking
liar.
insane.
It's relevant because she's a liar, bro. Are you missing the point that she lied and didn't give a
Bro,
consistent
that's
story?
crazy. That's crazy.
I'm
You
sorry.
can't
I don't
you
think
can't
credibility.
exclusively.
I'm kind of trying to moderate a little bit. I don't think he's saying it means the case should be thrown out, but it goes towards credibility, which
Yeah, no. Exactly. In that regard,
that's what I've been
no,
saying,
it's not
Hassan.
clear
What are you
evidence, and
arguing then,
therefore
That's
bro?
what
it
I've
does
been
not matter.
saying.
What are you arguing then? What are you arguing?
Her credibility is hurt because she's lied and hasn't told the same story multiple
it
times. That's
doesn't
my point.
matter. It is a private affair that she fucking said on television versus when she was under oath. Of course, that does not mean anything about her credibility. Okay, there are additional reasons as to why people sometimes feel conflicted about openly stating who they fucked. Okay, that's understandable. It's the most understandable thing. If you were a little bit more charitable in this regard, you would also recognize that. Come on.
Okay, let's talk about how she didn't want to admit that her and Kelsey got in a physical altercation.
How about that?
Let's also talk about how she said that they left one time, but in reality, they really left twice.
And it came back.
And they came back for a sandal. Let's talk about her lying on a public interview. Let's talk about her IG stories and her IG lives where she gave
Bro,
different conflicting accounts of the situation.
ultimately, when you're recalling shit, there's going to be instances where you're not 100% accurate. Okay, this happens all the time.
That's why you don't go on the internet and talk about it. It hurts your credibility.
You have to measure that on how severe it is, right? You have to measure that on how severe that is. Recanting or recalling instances that even happened to you is oftentimes going to be murky. Now, if you are, let's say, a third party person who claims you woke up the gunshots and then change your testimony to, oh, actually, I was watching them fight, so I saw every single thing that happened, that's pretty inconsistent, especially because of your proximity to the situation. If you're Kelsey in that regard, your testimony, if it had changed dramatically, which it never did, right? Remember,
It did
she only
change
pled the fifth. She never dramatically changed her testimony. She never dramatically changed her testimony and was literally given the opportunity to address it with immunity in a court of law.
Hassan, did you even see this trial? She gave a completely different account.
Real quick, let you guys go. Let me get a word in. So remember I said it's about credibility. And I think the way you even try to describe certain things is probably the reason why we're having the problem even kind of like understanding how this case even devolved how it did. Like when people are mentioning her sexual history, it's not to shame her, this and third. It's about credibility, right? Also, for example, she has a habit about drinking. I drink a lot every day. Okay, this is not to shame her, but
no, I know I've seen you fall asleep listening to Drake.
Yeah, okay,
one of my favorite clips.
But here's the thing, though. If we mention her drinking, it's not to shame her habits or her possibly being an alcoholic. It's probably to say, well, she was in a state of mind that she could probably not remember these details accurately. For example, like what Myron said, when she stated the sequence of events, she did not recall leaving the party, then returning. But her friend said that happened. Again, it's not trying to be like, oh,
but do you think not remembering whether you left the party and returned is of the same vein as like being fucking shot in the foot? Like, come on. Of course, small details like that can escape you in a lot of instances. That's why witness testimony is oftentimes murky. There's a big difference between going, I got fucking shot in the foot by that 5'2" man right there, and saying, oh, I might have left the party, I might not have left the party.
She never seen who pulled the trigger, and everybody else other testimony.
That's not true. That's not true. She testified. That's not true. She testified that she turned around.
Hold on, no. She never said she's seen who pulled the trigger. She said
she literally turned around. She said, I turned my upper body around and saw Tory Lanez shooting.
No, she never seen the trigger being pulled. She said she heard dance, bitch, dance. She looked over her shoulder. She seen Tory. Then she turned back around. I'll lock $1,000. We can lock on it. She never actually seen. So obviously, by circumstantial evidence, you'd assume it is Tory. However, going back to her state of mind and not remembering, though, according to the GSR report, Tory, if the gunfire happened at that moment, Tory had to be right next to Kelsey. They asked her, did you see, when you turned your back and you heard that, did you see Kelsey anywhere near there? She said, never seen Kelsey. Kelsey was nowhere in the vicinity. Right?
Can you tell me? By the way, I already told you what happened in that regard. Megan Thee Stallion also said that she had turned around after hearing the voices. Also, Kelsey said she turned around as well. But listen. I have another question for you. But like,
so you're doing the thing again.
Nah, bro. Frank out.
No, because we already. This is literally addressed in the court. Like we're in a loop now. I'm trying to move the conversation along as best as possible. I'm trying to move the conversation along as quickly as possible because there's one additional thing.
This is what
you said he made jail. You said he made phone calls from jail.
Yo, you said something that was obviously false. I am holding you to the fire, saying that is false. You know what you do? Let's move to another point.
Exactly. Wait. Okay, we can go back to that. What is it here? Go ahead. Sorry, you're right. I will have this conversation again.
She testified under oath that she believes Tory shot her, right? Because she saw him with the gun. She didn't see when he pulled the trigger. She saw him with the gun before the
She also did say that she turned around, like she was walking away from them, but when she heard noises, she did turn her upper body around. She did say that. She said that in court.
Hold on.
In her testimony.
The same thing I am, but you're trying to twist it in your way. Yes, she.
Wait, what do you mean? No, she turned.
Hold on. We don't care what.
Let's just find the quote. Let's just find the quote.
Bitch dance. If she heard, listen, gallop, bitch, gallop. If she heard whatever, did she see the bullets coming out of that gun? Was her eyes locked with the shooter? No. She said she saw Tory with the gun.
Bro, that's crazy. Okay, that's an insane. So what happened? Tory Lanez is a fucking acrobat and like he grabbed the gun out of Kelsey's hand in the fucking 5 seconds? Yeah, of course, dude. You know how fast bullets travel? It's kind of the whole point.
Okay, so you're now doing the theatrics.
Wait, no, of course, because I'm a normal human being with a normal human being brain. Obviously, when she says I turned around, I saw Tory with the gun. That's immediately after.
Okay.
Immediately after she got shot.
All right, so let me give you why that's relevant. Are you gonna let me make this point?
Okay, I want to hear this. Yes, I want to hear why this is relevant.
Once again, it goes back to intoxication and her not remembering what happened. According to her, there was no there was a witness that testified that she got out of the car and she walked towards the passenger side. I forget on which side, but that's also in line with Sean Kelly, who said there was a fight. She claims she doesn't remember that. She only remembers walking away, then hearing Dance Bitch Dance. The reason why I'm saying that, I'm not saying that she just blatantly lied about that. I'm saying because her memory's now in question because of how inebriated she's at. Keep in mind, they also said, well, if you turned around.
Yeah, but it literally still like straight up fucking is corroborated by Kelsey's testimony originally. And you can't undermine it by claiming
her original testimony. Yo, Hassan, her original testimony does not matter. You keep trying to go ahead off of the police interview. She admitted, yo, Hassan, here are the facts, okay? She went in, she gave the police a statement in September of 2022, 2 years after the fact, and she went ahead and implicated Tory as the shooter. She went and corroborated a lot of Meg's story and said all this stuff to pin it on Tory. She gets on the stand, switches her story, says straight up, I lied. And then they asked, why did you lie? And she says, because to protect myself. And she kept repeating,
she never said, like,
to
straight
protect
up
myself.
I lied. When you say that, you're making it seem like every part of her testimony was incorrect.
She said she lied in the interview
and still refused to do so.
No,
so
bro. She openly said, I lied in that interview earlier with the police. There were lies in it.
I know, but there's multiple facets to that conversation. She's not directly pinpointing a singular piece of information that she said was incorrect. Okay.
Do you realize how ridiculous you sound if someone is saying
of course,
they lied?
Because if someone says, apples are red, okay, and then they say the sky is green in that interview, okay, and then they turn around and testify and say, actually, I lied about that interview. Does that mean apples are not red?
Oh, you don't get what I'm saying. If I said I lied about something, no matter what I lied about,
and she didn't even say she lied about something. She said that it was inconsistent with.
Even if okay, let's go with that. You don't think that you don't think your credibility is now in doubt, brother? You still think that that's a credible thing? You have
she said she was not 100% truthful and was given immunity so she could clarify her statements, which she refused to do. She did not do that. She also said she is currently under like a lot of pressure, which is understandable, and ultimately did not reveal any additional information, but she had the opportunity to say what she lied about and change her testimony, which she did not do. So, of course, ultimately, they used her original testimony. Okay,
which is incredible because she said that she lied and it wasn't true. Like, bro, you're missing. You don't understand.
You can't use that. It doesn't work.
And
like
then when
that.
they asked
this is
her,
like evidence that has been gathered. You've built cases before, right? Like, this is evidence that's been gathered. You can't just be like, okay, well, I guess we just throw the whole case away. Like that. That's not how this works.
Oh man,
bro. I mean, come on. That's not how this works.
It is exactly how it works because a witness's credibility is everything.
That's not
a witness's credibility is everything, Hassan. Okay. And the other thing, too, we could talk about the witnesses not being credible. We could talk about the lead detective being under investigation, having giglio issues and being on admin leave. We could talk about how the police didn't properly secure the area and properly place evidence tags on all the bullet fragments and the blood, and they weren't able to get an actual trajectory of, a path of how Megan walked. We could talk about how Kelsey was sitting in the back seat behind Megan. Megan was sitting in the front seat. Tory was sitting in the back left passenger seat behind the driver. How would he have had time to go ahead and run around the corner, grab the gun, say, yeah, dance, bitch, dance, and then actually shoot her when she was only walking for a few seconds?
Shot from the open door. He shot from the open door of the car.
She said he was standing.
See, that's another.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, bro. There's holes all over the place where there's not necessarily a clear-cut situation. Also, there's discrepancy. Hassan, let me finish. There's discrepancy between what the prosecution said in the opening statements and Meg. And I'll go ahead and I'll read it for you because I went ahead and took some notes on this from before because I've covered this.
I have another question.
Let me finish my thing before you ask this question. Let me finish before you ask your question.
Kelsey's testimony goes.
Let me finish this before
Kelsey's testimony goes.
Dude, are you serious? Let me finish my point before you ask your question.
You're trolling, bro.
I'm saying that there's a discrepancy.
There's like two statements now that I want to fucking talk about.
Hey.
No, we're We're gonna get to this.
I let you speak.
Okay, go ahead.
I actually see the difference between me and you, Hassan, is that I listen to you speak and I understand it. That's why I'm able to refute your
go
points.
ahead. You're right.
You
I'm
don't do the
sorry.
same.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
So the discrepancy is this. Prosecutor said that Kelsey went to Meg after being shot. Then when Tory ran up to try to attack her, Kelsey got in the middle, fought Tory off, and he grabbed her by the hair. That's why her nail broke and her pendant broke, right? That's what the prosecution said in opening statements.
Yes.
However, Meg said when she got shot, Tory and Kelsey came at her at the same time, and she didn't make any mention of them actually fighting. So that's a huge discrepancy there. Okay.
Well, that's not no, that is literally not a discrepancy. She not revealing that piece of information might be for any million different fucking reasons, given the adrenaline-packed circumstance and the fact that she turned around and saw who had the gun. If you're getting shot at and you see who has the fucking gun, who shot you with, okay, who you got shot with, the gun that you got shot with, then obviously like that's what you're hyper focusing on, okay? That is totally understandable. That does not make her like a non-credible witness. This standard, if this standard was applied to every single court case, literally no one would get jailed for murder. I hope you understand that.
But you're missing the point here.
Situation
is that
the
it's not
only
clear
thing
cut,
that
Hassan.
would be additional evidence on this would be just video footage of Tory Lanez shooting Megan Thee Stallion, going dance, bitch, dance. And even then, I feel like you'd probably still defend it.
You're missing the point here, Hassan.
Going back to what I was talking about,
it's not conclusive. Is my point.
Mention, including the text message that Tory Lanez sent to Megan Thee Stallion. That was not actually a phone conversation from jail. That was a text message that Tory Lanez actually sent to Megan Thee Stallion saying, I apologize. Yep. I'm so sorry how things happen. I can't remember. It was not on a jail phone.
Yeah,
it was not actually like a snitch situation.
Yeah.
And in that circumstance, you would absolutely say something like, oh, that's crazy. Like, I can't believe that shit happened, rather than saying, oh, I'm so sorry, Meg, I know you're probably never going to talk to me again, but I genuinely want you to know I'm sorry from the bottom of my heart, and I was just too drunk.
Okay.
Nonetheless, shit should have never happened, and I can't change what I did. I just feel horrible. You think after Megan Thee Stallion got shot, you think that like that's a text message that you're sending to a human being? We're talking reason, okay? Within the bounds of reason. You think you're sending that text message to be like, oh man, it's so crazy. I revealed your information. Or do you think you'd be like, how crazy was it that, Kelsey fucking shot you? Because this is between two parties that are still trying to make amends.
Okay, Hassan, I already addressed this text message when I was going through the evidence. I told you that there's reasons why he could be apologizing. It could have been for him hitting on Kylie Jenner in front of her. It could have been on him getting a fight started between her and her best friend.
Megan Thee Stallion got shot. Been him. You know what I mean?
Okay, I understand that.
Shot. I feel like that's something you would address first, right?
I get that. But there were so many things that occurred that night.
Okay, good.
That he could be apologizing for.
You understand that. Okay, good. I just wanted to mention that because it's not even like completely relevant to the conversation, like I said, because it's not evidence. You can't use this as evidence that like Tory Lanez shot Megan Thee Stallion for sure. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because like we're just having a conversation between two guys within like common reason, and reasonable boundaries would also, dictate that you would most likely talk about the main issue at hand, someone getting shot.
I understand that, Hassan, but what I am saying is that there were so many things that happened negatively to Megan that night that he could have apologized for any of it. That's, by your logic, that means if you tell someone my condolences or I'm sorry for your loss, that means that you were the murderer or the shooter of that person that deceased. I'm saying he's sorry for what happened to her.
If I shot someone and then they survived and I said I'm sorry for what I did that night, yeah, it kind of seems like I shot that person.
But
we're
what
having
I'm saying,
a conversation that's reasonable.
He never admitted to shooting her.
If I said I can't change what I did, he basically said everything but I'm sorry I shot you. Okay,
but do you know what else he did that night?
And going, no, there's a million different reasons.
There's a million reasons.
He was sorry because he actually said a no word? What if he was sorry because he actually revealed that he wanted to fuck Kylie Jenner that night? Like, bro, she got shot. Of course he's talking about how he shot her.
No, see, that's what you're coming to the conclusion of. But what I'm saying is that a bunch of things happened to Meg that night. He could have apologized for a multitude of reasons. I've outlined this before. He hit on Kylie in front of her.
By the way, like I said, it's not even admissible in court. It's just like funny to see you defend this.
No, but what I'm saying is but that's the point, bro. The defense's job is to create reasonable doubt. We don't know what he apologized for. It could have been him hitting on Kylie. It could have been him getting starting the fight between him and Kelsey. Her and Kelsey getting in a fist fight. It could have been her getting shot. It could have been Kelsey shooting at her.
Out real quick.
It could have been any of these reasons.
I'm sorry that we got into a fight on the night that like the girl that you were seeing, let's say, got shot by another girl. That's what you're saying. Like you're actually texting that text message. You're saying, I'm sorry for how I conducted myself when you got shot. Is that's you would say that, you think?
Dude, what I would do versus what happened to Tory are two different things. I'm saying he could have apologized for a multitude of reasons. You're just saying he apologized because he shot her. No, there was a bunch of things that came out that night that no one knew about. For example, Kelsey did not know
that she got shot. I don't think she gives a fuck about Kylie Jenner at that point.
Please stop for 2 seconds.
Her feet are bleeding.
Please stop for 2 seconds and listen, because the difference between me and you is I listen very closely to everything you say. You don't listen to anything that I say. You got to understand that when Tory said, yo, Meg, just so you know, you backstabbed your friend. You were fucking on me. You were fucking on the baby, etc. That was the first time that Kelsey heard that information. Okay, so she obviously felt some type of way. They're all drunk. Emotions are high. Then all three of them are arguing in the love triangle. Kelsey did not know that information until Tory exposed it, and he embarrassed the fuck out of Meg. So that is what led to the physical altercation between Kelsey and Meg. They were best friends prior to the situation. So there's a multitude of reasons why Tory might be apologizing. It does not necessarily have to be just because he shot her.
If they had a physical altercation and Kelsey shot her, why did she blame Tory Lanez?
Bro, that also can be explained. It could have been she was trying to take away some responsibility from herself. It could have been, oh, I need to pin this on somebody.
You think if she got shot, she would have to describe her position? No, she would have been like, I got fucking shot by this crazy bitch.
Are you talking about Meg or Kelsey?
Come on,
Meg or Kelsey?
You're crazy.
You're talking about Kelsey?
In your mind, that's how that works. But that's not how that works in the fucking court of law. If she got shot by Kelsey and they fought and they fucking hate one another, clearly she's going to be like, I got shot by this crazy bitch Kelsey. Lock her up.
No, she wouldn't, because they were best friends prior. She was probably trying to protect Kelsey. Why would she not? She would not snitch on her friend.
Why is she not? But that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense.
Perfect sense.
There was
she can go ahead and put the blame on Tory.
Turn around and be like, oh yeah, actually, Kelsey's the one who's responsible. Like your own logical box that you have created doesn't make sense when you ask like 3 or 4 questions about motives of people that you're not hyper focusing on.
Lasan, this is common sense, bro. The video showing,
like, why is Tory protecting Kelsey? Why is Megan protecting Kelsey when Kelsey's the one who shot Megan in that circumstance? Like, it makes no sense.
She didn't see, bro. Like, she wouldn't even know. She just looked. All she heard was dance bitch. If that was the case, then why did Kelsey say, well, did you hear the words dance bitch? She said, now where'd you hear that from? That was her verbatim answer to that. If you really did shoot her.
She didn't hear the words dance bitch. Fine. Okay. That's fine.
I mean, the prosecution opened with that.
You're not responding to my question. Why would Megan Thee Stallion defend Kelsey despite being shot, even if they are no longer friends? And they're no longer friends. You know what I mean?
Because who's the bigger enemy?
Like you think what?
Kelsey,
the bigger enemy is the person who shot her.
Her and Kelsey were best friends at the time.
In a situation, that's crazy that you think that like a person would literally be like, oh my God, I got shot by this woman, but I fucking hate Tory Lanez more. That's an insane inference, dude. Come on. Please use common sense.
Meg only named Tory after Meg basically came out and said, I'm tired of sparing you. He said, one more lie, I'm tired of sparing you. She tweeted this. This was basically her thinking that blogs and media were trying to portray her as either part of the melee that happened that night or making it seem like she
got shot.
Okay, no, I'm not. You're saying the obvious, my guy. But I'm trying to tell you when she named Tory. I'm trying to tell you when she named Tory and why she had a reason to name him. She had a reason to name him because she felt that the media was kind of painting her in a situation where she was lumping them with her and also making her seem to be the bad guy. So she then basically threatened. Then she said, she went on live. She said, Tory shot me. Okay? Criminal charges never came till then. So if you're wondering,
wait. You're talking about the IG live where Megan Thee Stallion says Tory Lanez shot her. Okay.
Yeah.
That was like that was August 20th though. You made it seem like it took her years to fucking admit this.
It was at least a month.
Yeah, that's not all that much time. What do you mean?
Hold
if she got shot,
Lasan,
and her original and
your logic, right?
Her original reasoning in this situation was to like get away from the situation. If her original,
okay,
a month.
Lasan,
like, what do you
your logic?
mean?
If someone shot you, would you wait a month to tell the police? What's your logic?
I mean, she already. Well, actually, as a matter of fact, I wouldn't. But Megan Thee Stallion explained why she did.
She waited a month because of what? Because she talked to them 4 days later too.
Please tell us.
Wait, she waited a fucking month because during that entire timeline, people were, as you already said, literally blaming her for fucking being shot and putting the responsibility on her after she got fucking shot. That's crazy. She did not originally want to fucking snitch. Maybe because she's a rapper, like you guys also said, you know, there's a rapper code. She didn't want to snitch. She didn't want to fucking snitch on Tory Lanez. But after people fucking constantly push you to the goddamn brink, and you're literally the victim in that circumstance, yeah, of course you're gonna fucking come out and say like, yeah, what the fuck is this shit? I got shot by Tory Lanez, and you motherfuckers are claiming that I'm the responsible party when my feet got bullet holes in them.
Well, again, I'm answering your statement of why wouldn't she possibly say, let's say it was Kelsey. Why wouldn't she come out and just say Kelsey? Well, she didn't. Hold on a second. You jumped the gun too much. Hold on. I'm telling you, she didn't come out to say Tory either. The reason why she came out to say Tory is because she felt Tory was playing games with the media. So it's only, hold on. So it's fair to assume that her calling his name was a direct result of what she felt he was doing, not that she came to some type of, oh, I'm ready to speak. So now when you say, well, why wouldn't she name Kelsey? Kelsey isn't a star. Kelsey has no type of power and control over the media or the narrative. Again, why, if you waited that long, even if it was Kelsey, why say anything? Kelsey can't affect your career, can't affect the narrative, but who can? Tory Lanez. I hope you understood that part.
That's great. You think she got clout off of fucking... If she's gonna get clout, she could have fucking jumped the gun from the start.
Brother, then
she would have just said what happened that night.
Hasan, your listening skills are so crazy, brother.
You don't listen. You don't listen. That's the problem.
Hold on, my dude. You said one thing. I'm gonna repeat what you said. You said, "Oh, if it was Kelsey that shot her, why would she just say Kelsey?" So I reminded you. Well, she didn't say Tory till at least over a month later. Then I reminded you.
Why she was shot. She was shot. So she can't lie about being shot because she was.
Brother, hear what I'm saying. She named someone a month later. It's important. Why did she name someone at that juncture?
Because everyone kept fucking blaming her for being shot.
No.
And that is why she admitted who was actually the person who's responsible.
This is why
also literally explained why she did not name Tory Lanez originally. Her friend was the one who named Tory that night, though.
We're talking about why did she name him a month later. This is why you got to listen more and read more, my brother.
Oh my God!
I'm trying to tell you because it's clear. I'll make a bet with you. You won't make it because you're not that informed. You just keep saying the obvious, but you were shot. Brother, we know this. You're going to say that for the 15,000th time. We know,
but your inferences are incorrect. You're making like you're stretching. You're stretching harder than the fucking gymnastics team. That's why it's ridiculous to me.
Wait, hold on. I'm going back to your
trying to ground you with like actual facts from the case.
Go back to your point. You said if she got shot by Kelsey, why wouldn't she just say it? I'm bringing you step by step why she said Tory and when she did. She did not say Tory.
Because Tory Lanez is what is it? Give me the steps again.
So you're not listening.
I am, but it makes no fucking sense. I have to hear it a million times. Go on. Because I responded to it, and you said that's not what I meant. So go on. Please clarify.
She believed that Tory and his influence was playing games and making her look a certain way. Keep in mind, that would not be the same for Kelsey, right? That's why she was incentivized to name Tory when she did. She put out
that makes no sense. And here's why. Okay, are you ready? Here's why.
She says lie one more time, and I'm gonna just say it.
Here's why that makes no sense. Because Tory Lanez is like playing games with her or whatever. She could just easily turn around and be like, Kelsey shot me, because there's only 2 people involved in the process. If she had come out and said, Kelsey shot me, Tory Lanez would no longer, by your own logic, play games with her. What is Tory going to say? Turn around and be like, actually, no, it was me who shot Megan? Fuck no. That would have ended the conversation, because if Kelsey had shot her, she would have just fucking said that. But Tory shot her, and that's why she said, Tory Lanez shot me. This is an insane thing. It's such a major stretch that it literally could not filter through my brain.
Son, but you are literally using like a mental block, or you're doing mental gymnastics not to understand this.
What?
Hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying. You initially said, I'm only going off what you said. Why wouldn't she name Kelsey? Well, actually, she wasn't trying to name anyone. She wasn't trying to name anyone. Okay, even if you go back to her Gayle King interview, which you
but like you understand what was Tory Lanez lying about?
Hold on.
What was Tory Lanez lying about at the time?
Wait, hold on. You won't even let me finish. Not only did she reference it in her Gayle King interview, she referenced it even when she got on live. She said, I wouldn't have even said nothing. I was going to let it go. Okay? So again, when you said, why wouldn't she name Kelsey? It seems like she was never going to name Kelsey, even if it was Kelsey. Okay?
What? No, that you can't make that. You literally just leaped into that. Okay. If Kelsey shot her, the most logical thing for her to say is Kelsey fucking shot me. Tory Lanez is just lying for some weird reason. I don't know why. And what is Tory Lanez going to do in that situation? Be like, no, actually, Kelsey didn't shoot her. Megan shot herself. Or no, actually, Kelsey didn't shoot her. I shot her. No, that would have fucking destroyed any argument that anyone could have ever had. The reason why she came out and said Tory Lanez shot me is because fucking Tory Lanez shot her. That's it. And this is a wild, these are wild leaps to make. I'm serious. Like, these are wild leaps to make. Like, I'm trying as best as I possibly can to try to like comprehend where you're coming from with this, but like there's so much motivated reasoning playing a role in your assertions here that like it's hard to like, you know, get in there. It's hard to like get through your armor a little bit.
Because you think women can't lie. That's the problem. That's why you can't understand
women,
this.
Of course, lie. Women lie all the time. Everyone lies. Human beings are liars.
Yes.
This is a fucking bullshit straw man that everyone's like, oh, you're a SJW. Women can't lie. Of course women can lie. What the fuck do you mean?
Okay, and Megan's lied plenty of times, and I'm saying that the whole case was based on her testimony. You're saying, I believe her, but she's lied several times.
Bro, she got shot, though. You're like,
okay, that's cool, but she doesn't know who shot her.
Megan went and said,
but she doesn't know who shot her.
Tax evasion. You know what I mean?
She doesn't know who shot her, though. She doesn't know who shot her. She really doesn't. She claims it's Tory, but she doesn't know.
She does know who shot her. And every single counter that you brought up about like why she didn't name Kelsey is ridiculous. It falls flat on its fucking feet.
She lied in her testimony several times. She did not admit that they got into a physical altercation, which again is very important to the story. Right? She did not admit that her Kelsey
Why is it important to the story? You think it was self-defense? You think like Tory Lanez was shot her because like it was self-defense?
Because if she doesn't admit that her and Kelsey got into a physical altercation right before the shots were fired, guess what it does? It paints Tory as the probable shooter, and she admitted that from her testimony.
But you're still making the argument that like she somehow has reason to defend Kelsey, even though Kelsey fucking shot her, which is insane. Okay,
bro.
Yo, you must be trolling, bro. Yo,
if someone shoots you, if someone shoots you. Okay, if someone shoots you, in that situation, I'd probably fucking tell the cops. Okay, you can call me a snitch. Sure. There are many instances where I am a victim of shit, and I don't fucking, I do not collaborate with the police. Okay, this is one of those instances where I'd be like, okay, well, I got shot by this motherfucker,
bro. I'm trying to tell you that Meg is not a credible witness. She was drunk, and she said that Tory shot her.
Credibility, right? Now, granted, okay, like I know you're gonna say the same dumb 3 things that we're kind of agreeing with, but just listen to my train of thought. Just think you're a juror for 1 second. You're trying to make shit make sense. I think there's a reason why both Kelsey and Meg both conveniently forgot when they may have fought each other, even though an eyewitness said they were fighting for several minutes. They both misremembered that exact part. Okay. Now, granted, I think in the defense side, that part is very important if you're trying to cast doubt, right? If it seems like a woman's just walking away and you shoot her, you seem very malicious, and it just seems like it's open and shut. But if there was a fight that was happening for minutes. That
Well, for this, okay, that makes sense. But here's what doesn't make sense. Okay, for this to work, Megan Thee Stallion would have to hate Tory Lanez more than the fucking person that she fought who shot her.
Okay, so
and that is insane.
So let me add some points here.
That's my point.
Okay, so
I
got you.
You cannot connect those two dots.
No, I got you, bro.
Like, you're literally saying, like, she hates men so much that she wanted to blame a man or something.
So there's a video, right? After the incident happened, the police showed up. You can hear Kelsey saying clearly, Meg, are you okay? Meg, are you okay? So they were still friends at that point. So they even though they fought, they were not like enemies. So what's the best option here? You know what? As girls, let's talk. You know what? Tory's the one that's being left out here. We're still friends. Let's put it on Tory. Pretty much, bro. That's it. They're friends still at that point. So it's like, bro, your argument, I get it, but they're still friends at that point.
Okay. I mean, I got no, you owned me, man. I got nothing on that. Here's the thing. I think
Tory has a very strong case for an appeal here. Tory has a very strong case for an appeal, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, well, good luck. Good luck to him. Look, I don't want to see. Look, I'm not too fond of the criminal justice system in general. I do think that he did it. I do think that he deserves to go to prison for at least a extended period of time. He definitely. I think he fucked up. If I'm going to be as charitable as possible, ultimately though, Megan Thee Stallion did get shot.
This team fucked up, raising reasonable doubt. Just talk.
No, I don't think so. I think, like, in order for there to be a little bit more clarity in that circumstance, it would literally have to just straight up fucking be video evidence. Like, at that point, that's it. Okay. By the way, I was being sarcastic. I don't know if that dude recognized that or not, but but it's fine. Love you guys. Thank you so much for this. Okay.
Hey, listen. Number one, I do say I accept the verdict. I thought there was a pretty decent job done with raising, a reasonable doubt. Clearly not to the jury, and it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, Lasan, you came for your content. You got your content now. Hope you're happy. And your trolling was hilarious, by the way. So thank you for the trolling,
bro. Okay, listen. You're the one who asked to be on this call. Okay, like, I mean, I'm fine with having a conversation with you, debating you or whatever you want. But like, it's not like I was like, oh, please bring the Fresh and Fit boys in here. I know, especially which one is fresh and which one's fit.
Hasan, I've been talking with academics about this for the better part of a week. We've been covering this case, so nice try on that one.
No, I know. I really wanted the fucking content from you guys. I was like, please, DJ. Please, DJ Ak, please bring him. No, that's not what happened. You wanted to come on, which is fine. You're like,
we were going to come on with Ak regardless. We didn't care if you're on it.
He didn't feel like he was doing a good job. It's fine. It's cool. But I'm gonna have a little bit of fun. Like, I'm gonna troll a little bit. Come on.
I mean, you troll when you're taking L's on arguments. You take ad hominem attacks. You're supposed to be a master debater. You couldn't keep it factual. You were emotional the whole time.
Master debater. I suck at debates. I don't know where that came from.
No, you really do. You're very emotional.
I don't like debates. I'm not very good at debates. Everybody keeps saying that I am, but I'm not. I don't think.
You're very emotional.
Unless it's like Andrew Tate. He's just very bad at debates. So,
do you think Charlie Kirk got you or not?
No, absolutely not.
And your argument about women being better drivers was also comical as well.
Oh, here we fuck. Okay, look,
use insurance rates
we can
for your argument
at a different time, but
sure,
I can't spend 6 hours talking to you guys. All right, I got some other stuff that I need to cover.
Yes, bro. Yes, you are very busy. Sure,
you got to be
ducking it.
You've been ducking.
Facts.
What did you say, Ak?
You kind of been ducking. Every time I mentioned Myron, like you were like,
it's because the reason why I do debates when I end up doing them, I guess, is often because I think like someone has really damaging ideas and they're able to spread those damaging ideas to like a very large audience, right? And it's more so, it's not even like to stop the spread of said ideas, right? It's not like I'm calling for deplatforming or anything, but it's more so to just like address them adequately so people have a better understanding of like what the other side's perspective is, right? And so the reason why I will like debate someone like Andrew Tate is because like, I mean, he's all over the place. People will turn around and say, oh, that's clout sharking or whatever the fuck. And to them, I say, well, that is what matters in this circumstance. I want to temper someone's influence and at least like show that there's a different perspective on a large enough platform.
Okay, then
And
why
I
is
guess
it that
this is a
when
long
me
way
and
of saying
Andrew,
that,
me
like,
and Andrew
Freshandfit
challenged
didn't
you
have
and
enough
Ethan
clout
Klein
for
to a
me to, like,
debate?
address them.
Wait, hold on.
There was a time when they did,
me
though.
and Andrew literally said we would debate you two, you and Ethan, gladfully on intersexual dynamics, and you guys ducked it and said, no, we're not going to do that, blah, blah, blah. Another thing too,
I've
Hassan,
never said
you
that.
want to use
That
this
is
whole
not
thing
a
about,
factually
I need people that
accurate
have a big
statement.
audience or
I don't
whatever.
know why you're saying that.
Are you serious?
But as you can tell, I'm perfectly willing and able to hold a conversation with you.
Dude,
I don't know. I don't know
listen,
what
bro.
happened with I don't know what happened with the Ethan thing, but I was always very much down to have a conversation.
And keep in mind
I don't know
also,
where you got
Hassan,
that
you're the
from.
one that talks about us first, bro. We never mentioned you not one time. It was you making a bunch of hit pieces on us, dude.
Yeah. Well,
So-
well, when I first started, I mean, I don't know if you're talking about like me and Ethan together, but like
Both of
when I
y'all.
first saw you guys were popping. I would have definitely debated you back then. I'm saying now, not so much. So I was like,
Yo,
you know,
this
it's not.
Hassan, we're more popping than you are, bro. What are you talking about? We're more popping than you are.
This sticker, bro.
Okay,
We-
that's great.
What?
I'm happy for you guys' success. I haven't seen it, but if I do, I will. You know, I'll.
That's because you're on Twitch. We're on YouTube. We've been on YouTube 2 years, bro, and we're almost as many subscribers as you. What are you talking about? We're definitely popping.
Dude. No, I mean, congratulations to you guys.
So-
like I said, when you guys have like,
Nice
a
try.
big enough influence,
Ducking
or if you
again.
have like a big enough audience,
Ducking.
like Andrew Tate did at the time, then
That's a
we can have
cap because I told
conversation,
you
know
us
what I
and
mean?
Andrew would debate y'all, and you guys still ran. So what is this excuse, bro? Y'all still ran. Because when it comes to intersexual dynamics, okay,
My
Your-
friend, I'm
your
telling you what the
ideology is
reasons are. I
flawed.
don't want to debate you on like why I already told you I was not interested. You know what I mean? That's like kind of
yet you make hit
defeating the
pieces on
purpose.
us. We've never once talked shit about you until you started talking shit about us. You came at us first.
Big facts.
So you want to start it? I'll finish it. Let's go.
because
Let's go.
you had a lot of fucking videos that were popping at the time. A lot of people were spreading it and going, "Oh my god, what is this Fresh and Fit guys doing?" It doesn't happen anymore. That's part of the reason. You know what I mean?
Okay,
That-
so you're a
that's
cloud demon.
literally the
Cool.
main
You're a cloud
reason, as a
demon.
matter
then.
of
Cool.
fact.
You're not really here to argue topics or ideas. You're here to just
Well, I
chase
just
clout.
don't
which
think
is
it's
cool.
like damaging enough. Like I don't
Which-
think you're
which if
doing
you
enough
wanna- if
damage
you wanna talk
to
about-
discourse that I'm like, there are plenty of people who are much better debaters than myself. I would say
Dude,
Destiny is
I
one of those
showed
people.
the DMs.
Like I'm
I
sure you
showed
guys
the
can
DMs
duke it out
of us
all
and
day, every
H3.
day. You know, do that.
I showed the DMs
But, like-
between us and H3. Y'all ran, bro. Y'all
Okay,
ran. And Andrew was
I'm
the most
not-
popping guy
I'm
at
not
the time in
Ethan
the
Klein.
world.
I don't know why you keep saying us and H3. I don't think I've ever gotten a DM from you.
Okay. All right, man. I'm pretty sure
Oh my god.
we've definitely communicated that we could have this discussion. I mean, I'm here right now. We can talk
Down.
about
Like I said, I'm down.
whatever.
Get your clout up. If there's like enough,
your clout up.
you guys
Bro,
do enough damage
you're not
to
as
the
popping
Discord,
as you think you
then I'll
are.
have a
What?
conversation with you guys directly. How about that?
Backhanded compliment, though.
Bro,
Come on,
you are
though.
not as
First off-
popping as you think you are. You are delusional if you think so, bro. We've been on YouTube 2 years.
I'm not
You've been on
competent.
here for
I'm
how
not.
long?
If that's what you're saying, I don't think I'm a competent debater anyway. There's better debaters than me out there.
You're not just a cloud farmer, because I've seen you talk about situations and ideas that are from very small creators.
Well,
I think-
yeah, because it's not about clout. It's about the damage being done.
No, it's
to
about
the
fear.
discourse in
That's what it's
general.
about. It's about fear. You are scared right now because you understand that when it comes to intersexual dynamics, you are incompetent. Just like talking about this trial, you are incompetent. You don't know all the details, yet you're still speaking. The difference between me and you is I don't speak on something unless I know it. That's the difference between me and you.
Crazy. It's pretty crazy because you were very confidently talking about the Fifth Amendment, which you definitely did not understand. So it seems to me like you are talking about things you don't know anything about.
You
Also,
cannot
your co-host
assert the
talks about
Fifth
women all the
Amendment.
time. I feel like he has no idea. Like if I were to ask, if I wanted to learn about how women are, I think you guys are the last people I would go to get advice.
Really? Really?
It's funny. You need it the most.
Yes, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
sure.
look, there are bigger and more successful misogynists that I'm willing to debate. It's all the same shit anyway. But when you guys get the clout,
Your
up,
arguments
like,
are weak, bro. You literally said women are better drivers because they have cheaper insurance rates to Andrew, which is a ridiculous argument. Ridiculous.
Look, we'll do this. We'll do this at a later date.
All right, man.
guys,
Just take the L and run. Just take the L and run, bro. We are more relevant than you are. We are way more relevant than you are.
Things I gotta talk about. I gave you guys like 6 hours, man.
All right, dude, it's fine. You can run, but we are way more relevant than you are.
I'm
you talked
running.
about
Dude,
us
I
first.
believe you. I believe you.
And you talked about us
on your
first. We never
success.
talked about you. All right. You started it. I'll be happy to finish it. So it is what it is.
What are you doing? You're like a grown ass man. You're about to cry on this fucking phone call.
I'm not crying at all. I'm not crying at all.
Jesus Christ.
I'm keeping it factual.
Holy shit. Didn't you like lock up Muslim people and shit back in the day? You should be a little bit more ruthless than this.
Yeah, I'm keeping it factual. You're the one that's emotional.
Fuck.
I'm keeping it factual, bro.
Very emotional, bro.
You are keeping it factual. Holding back tears over here because I don't want to fucking talk to you guys any longer. Then
get off the stream. Then get off the stream, dude. Then get off the stream. You don't know about the Fifth Amendment. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not. This is out of your wheelhouse. I literally explained the Fifth Amendment. You cannot assert the Fifth Amendment unless you reasonably believe that you will be prosecuted for said crime. Kelsey does not get the same Fifth Amendment
girl chirped me this hard. The conversation would have been over. I guess I am sexist for giving you this much time.
Hasan, you did do the same thing to Tate. You kind of bulldozed the conversation. Hey, listen, let it happen.
Oh, dude. Don't even get me started about Tate. Motherfucker's like lying, saying I'm like running from him and shit. He was like, oh, I won that debate. And he won't debate me again. It's like, that's not true. I will fucking gladly debate Andrew Tate again.
Overtalk people.
Stop the cap.
And you don't know what you're talking about for the most of the part. And it's funny because, dude, you run from us many times. You and
what is this guy saying? Oh my God, bro.
Hold on. You would debate Andrew Tate again?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'd do it.
Stop the cap.
Bro. Yeah. On one end, you say you're not a clout chaser, but you are a clout chaser.
Why would I run away from this dude? He literally he had to get out of the conversation. He's like, these people are not intimidating, okay? They're not. Their ideas are not great, and their rhetoric is not great either.
How are we misogynist, Hasan? Please tell me that. How are we misogynist?
Guys,
tell me how we're misogynist.
Boys. I have to pee. Okay, this is very real.
All right, then go pee.
I've held it in for far too long.
Go sit down and pee like you normally then. Go sit down and pee like you normally.
I don't have the peanut gallery like the Fed and the other dude had.
Go sit down and pee then. Real quick. Go sit down and pee, man. I don't know why you're still here. Then go sit down and pee.
Put a blanket down too, buddy.
Like I find it amazing.
An adult, come on.
I find it amazing how you've been talking shit. You've been talking shit,
bro. I got long hair.
Over a year,
girl. Is that what you're gonna say,
dude? No, I'm not even gonna say that. I'm just saying you've been talking shit for over a year. I'm here, right here, right now,
bro,
and you're running. Go sit down and pee, bro. Go sit down and pee.
Dude, that is.
Or we can have a discsion, either or. But you've been talking shit for a year. I'm here now.
Go sit down.
I'm here now. You've been talking shit for a year, bro.
You have to have.
You've been talking shit for a year.
You talk for a living. You talk on a podcast for a living. I feel bad. I feel like I'm getting like secondhand embarrassment from a person who talks for a living, only being able to retaliate with like literal 12-year-old insults. Like you're like a playground bully. You're like, oh, you sit down and pee. Come on. You can be a little bit more creative. Now your co-host, I mean, he's gone. I don't think he's got anything in him, but you at least could be a little bit more creative. You know what I mean?
My point is this, dude. You've been talking shit about us for over a year. I'm here, right now. You made a nonsensical argument with Andrew as far as insurance rates are what make female drivers better, which is a ridiculous argument to make in the first place. It doesn't make sense. You call us misogynist, etc. I'm here. We can have this discussion, but you want to say, I got to go pee. Then fine. Go sit down and pee. Go leave the stream and it's fine. It's no big deal. Okay. Us and Ak could talk about the case, but you've been wrong on a multitude of things on this discussion.
Listen, we'll bring this back up on a later date when running out of content or something. Because it is entertaining.
Cool.
You guys are very entertaining.
That's cool, man. But again, like I said before, you make a bunch of arguments.
You still want to talk to me. It is very
I don't know why you're still here.
I know you might get separation anxiety, but I really gotta go.
You've been saying for a million times you gotta leave.
Academics, thank you so much.
It is kind of fair that if you call them misogynist, that's like a heavy fucking.
Bro, stop. I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. Stop trying to pull me back in.
Stand on what you said. If you're gonna talk shit, like I said before, we're here now. You started it. I will be glad to finish it. But you want to run and piss? Go ahead, man.
He can't do it.
It's fine.
He can't do it.
It's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead and piss. But again, unlike you, I talk about topics I know.
Right.
When it comes to court, trials, criminal investigations, girls.
Don't go out like this, bro.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. I gotta go. Thank you guys. We'll do this. We'll do this at a later time.
You're running.
You know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I will have a conversation with you guys again. Okay, I promise.
And that's fine,
I've said it on. Look, clip it. Okay. I've said it in front of thousands of people. Okay. You can hold it against me if I don't talk to you again. Okay. I promise.
All this time that you were saying that you're going to leave and you're going to pee, we could have had a discussion already.
Eventually be a moment where I
don't
don't
gotta
have
pee, bro.
enough fucking
Bro,
content, and it's
you
like kind of
ducking.
boring
You
and
ducking
slow.
now.
And I will
Ducking,
talk
bro.
to you
You
again.
could have left.
You
We could have had a discussion by now.
Peter Pants, big boy.
You keep talking about, oh, I gotta pee, but you're still here, bro. You can leave. You're more than welcome to leave at any time.
I clipped it. Okay, in good faith. I'm just letting you know that I will have this conversation again.
I ain't gonna lie.
Bye, guys.
I won't let him talk to me like that, bro. I'm gonna just be honest.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm an adult. I might not have Mr. 35-year-old's hairline yet, but I am an adult. So.
Nice try. It's going back though. Nice try.
Brother, I'm just saying, we can't take this type of conversation, bro. I'm just saying, bro.
You running. It turned into Goku instant transmission, which is fine. It's fine.
Bro.
But if I talk shit about someone for a year and then they're like, "Here, let's have that discussion," you sound crazy. That's all it is.
By the way, I definitely like Hassan's content. Even though sometimes he's talking shit about me too, but like, I kind of just wear in good faith. I definitely think he is kind of ducking you guys though, and I don't know why, because I think the whole thing about clout is BS. Because I'm telling you, I've watched his content a bunch of times, and I've seen him really get into it, kind of debate ideas and ideology that a lot of people would definitely less a clout had. You know what I mean? So it's like, you're picking and choosing now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the thing. Here's the thing. If he wants to use a clout route, again, I literally have the DMs. I showed them. I told them, yo, we'll debate H3 in person in California. Me and Andrew will go. And this one, Andrew was the most Googled man on earth. I was on the phone talking with Andrew on WhatsApp while we were having that discussion, and they ran. I showed the DMs to H3. So Hassan could sit here and say all these things, blah, blah, blah. But then when confronted, he's out of his element. He knows it's going to be an L. So it's fine.
And also, here's a big difference, right? He Googles stuff from the internet. He doesn't have experience. We have experience in the field. He does not. So him debating us will be kind of low because he doesn't understand what we go through.
And he made a ridiculous argument saying that the fact that Kelsey took the Fifth Amendment can't be used by the jury. And that is ridiculous. I literally just got off texting my lawyer friend. It absolutely can be used by the jury to disqualify her as a witness because she took the Fifth, which contradicted the prior statement she gave to the police in September. But Hassan's saying that, no, she gets that Fifth Amendment privilege and they can't judge her. They absolutely can. The only person that gets that protection is Tory Lanez because he is the actual accused that's on trial, not Kelsey. Kelsey was a prosecutorial witness. But of course, again, as usual, Hassan talks out of his ass and doesn't necessarily talk with facts. But yeah, man, I mean, as far as like this reaction to this trial now that this guy's gone, yeah, bro, it's I think Tory definitely needs to file an appeal. I think he would have good grounds for one. I think there was a strong amount of reasonable doubt in this investigation, and I'm shocked that they actually were able to convict him. So
yeah, I'm wondering how quickly the appeals process is going to work for him. Clearly, he's supposed to be he's going to be sentenced in January, I believe, January 27th. He's going to be incarcerated till then. I know in a lot of cases, but I'm not sure if it's just I know civilly, sometimes you'll have either 30 days or 90 days to appeal. Not too sure how long he has to appeal, and then when they'll hear the appeal to maybe even grant it or go through a hearing for that. So
yo, keep it 1,000. You cool with this verdict? Keep it 1,000.
I would disagree. Like, I wouldn't have voted for this. You get what I mean? So like, again, from everything I've seen, I'm like, yo, this kind of seems off. Now I gotta accept it because at the end of the day, 12 people fucking made the agreement that that's what it is. So
so they saying that Rock Nation paid them off, bro. That's what they're saying in the conspiracy world. What do you think?
Now, listen, I wouldn't say that. Definitely would not say that.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that either. But what I would say is that this was a huge miscarriage of justice. I'm actually shocked that we had two drunk witnesses, one lying on the stand, another one that quite frankly wasn't credible because Meg gave conflicting accounts of the situation on multiple scenarios, whether it was Instagram Live, her interview with Gail Knight, etc. All of this was completely wild. And for them to go ahead and convict them on those charges, I'm shocked, especially when there was a potential that Kelsey was one of the shooters in this situation. So, I mean, dude, if this could happen to Tory, bro, oh man, like, bro, no one is safe, bro. Like, this is an L for all men. The CJ system, for the accused. Like, bro, this is crazy.
This is what I would definitely say, though, right? I'm hoping, again, I was in court and I wasn't in that jury pool, but I'm hoping that this was something that was just done on strictly the facts and strictly the arguments made in court and not done off anything that has to do with a lot of the woke agenda and kind of the peer pressure that comes from social media for you to basically jump to judgment without even listen to the facts of the case. So I'm hoping those things didn't seep into anyone's decision making process. But
it's tough, man, because in this age of social media, like it's almost impossible to escape the case on your phone. Like I gave this example yesterday, like the O.J. Simpson case, right? A big reason why O.J. Simpson was acquitted was because back in the mid 90s, like there wasn't social media. You had to watch the television if you wanted to get your news, etc. So the jury didn't know half of the information that was being reported by the news because they weren't allowed to watch the news, right? But in this situation where you have a smartphone, you have access to your smartphone, there's no way that the jury couldn't have seen all the different types of social media posts concerning this case and everything else that may have happened. And also, let's be honest here, venue is very important. They're in Los Angeles, California, which is extremely liberal, extremely left, and extremely social justice warrior. People like Lasan are over there. So they're going to go ahead and be like, oh, well, it's the victim, it's the victim, it's the victim. And to me, the thing that was crazy was you got a victim that's drunk, you got another witness that was also intoxicated, that can't give a concise story, that admitted to lying to the police during an interview, and they were still able to convict Tory, despite the fact that DNA wasn't necessarily found, the evidence wasn't properly gathered, the bullets and the blood wasn't marked properly. We have conflicting testimonies. It's just it was all over the place. And then you have police officers, right? The main detective on this case had a bunch of credibility issues. He was under investigation and might get fired. So the fact that all of this stuff was going on and it didn't create reasonable doubt for a jury is man, I'm shocked. I'm really surprised. I think Tory Lanez has a very strong ability to appeal this though, and I'm really shocked at the thing. I'm just shocked at the verdict here.
If he's convicted fully, is he like done for? Like, there's no
well, yeah, they're gonna deport him. Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's a Canadian national, right? So this isn't just like being convicted of a crime. This is once he does his jail time, right? He's gonna get sentenced, I think, January 27th. Well, let's say they sentence him to 2 years. After 2 years, immigration is going to be there waiting for him at the jail. And they're going to take him and put him in removal proceedings and send him up to Canada.
Damn.
And he won't be allowed to come back to the United States.
Yo, Ak got a dog now, man. He's a dog dad. Yo, Ak, congrats, bro. You hit like 70K live viewers on Twitch and YouTube altogether. That's a W, bro.
Yeah, that's Don DeMarco right there.
I'm not going to lie. I was getting a haircut. I was in the gym. I was on the toilet listening to this whole like coverage, but academics, bro. Shout out to you, bro, for keeping it at 1,000. So
yeah. No. Of course. I ain't gonna lie. It's the most I've ever streamed in life. And just kind of watching this whole thing, I'm gonna be honest with you, like I'm so shocked that it happened like this. I don't know, man.
And real quick, Ak, because I have the verbatim language here, which if Lasan had let me speak, basically when it comes to the Fifth Amendment, the test is this: whether the witness reasonably believes that the disclosure could be used in a criminal prosecution or that it could lead to other evidence that might be used against him or her. Right. So, and then there's also jury instruction that the jury isn't supposed to consider pleading the fifth as implying criminal liability or guilt. Right. However, in this case, that only applies to Tory because he's the accused. As far as Kelsey goes, they can absolutely use it against her to attack her credibility as a witness. So again, Hassan was incorrect saying that she was protected through the Fifth Amendment for not wanting to testify. Yes, though she might not be criminally liable, she is liable to have her credibility hurt as a witness. And that is the point. She was a witness in the investigation, not the target. So since she was a witness, the fact that she took the fifth, the fact that she lied to the police, this can all be used to discredit her as a credible witness. This is where Hassan doesn't know what he's talking about.
By the way, you know what this also reminds me?
Yeah.
This is why California is so dangerous for anything to do with, anything to do with a weapon, period. You know what I mean? Obviously, the particular situation, but, their penalties and how they write their laws according to these things and how it's amplified when it's a, man and woman issue this got to be scary for a bunch of people. You know what I mean? And no, I'm not saying it's scary for people who are abusing women. Again, if we all seen a lot of data and a lot of things that came from court, and we said, oh, we believe that it's gonna go this way, and we're all wrong. I mean, we've ran polls. We've had over 100,000 people vote.
Yeah.
And it was overwhelmingly 90% believe that it was going to be a not guilty verdict.
Yeah. And the average person can not even get the lawyer that Tory got to fight this case. So the average guy is screwed.
Yeah. I mean, this is
also,
go ahead.
I'm also here sitting to think, I thought even if he did, I thought it was going to get max, like found guilty of 1, then not guilty on the other two. And I thought I would be able to say, oh, you know what? I think he messed up here. And if he didn't mess up here, he would have like beat everything. With this verdict, is like, it just seems, I don't even know where to start to kind of decode what he could have done differently this and third. I know some woke motherfuckers will be like, well, you could have started by not shooting her. I get it, right?
Well,
but like,
here's the thing. So, and this is the discussion I was trying to have with Hassan, but he kept cutting me off. This investigation, this trial was a case of feels before reals, because if you go through each of the prosecution's evidence, there's a reasonable expectation, there's a reasonable there's plausible deniability that Tory might not be culpable, and I'll explain what I mean by this. So in the jail call and the text messages to Meg, right, he says, "I'm sorry," and apologizes, and the prosecution heavily relied upon this. However, we know that on that night, Tory was flirting with Kylie Jenner. Tory didn't want to leave the house. Meg left the house and it came back for him. He went ahead and exposed a secret to Kelsey that Kelsey had not known prior, that Meg was running around and having sex with a bunch of dudes that Kelsey was involved in a relationship with. That led to a fist fight. That fist fight led to Meg getting shot. So there's a multitude of reasons that Tory could have apologized to Meg. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm apologizing for the exact reason of me pulling the trigger and shooting you. There's a bunch of things there. Then they want to talk about the DNA. Well, we know that the DNA wasn't necessarily conclusive. And to take it a step further, both DNA experts testified that if Tory had shot the gun 5 times, more than likely his DNA would have been able to be found on the weapon conclusively. It was not. And then the other piece of evidence that they used was, what else, Ak, here? I'm going to look at my pictures. I know we took a thing here. What was the other piece of evidence that they had? Sean, the gunshot residue, it was on Tory and it was on Kelsey. So that adds 2 potential shooters. And then Sean Kelly, right? He testified that he saw Kelsey, a woman shoot, and he testified that a man shot as well. Well, I mean, what man are we talking about? Are we talking about Tory? Or are we talking about the other guy? Like, that's just him saying, oh, yeah, I saw Tory shoot. But none of the other witnesses besides Meg can say Tory shot, right? And from what they're saying, when he shot, was it shooting at Meg? Because Sean Kelly also testified that he saw Kelsey shoot the first shot. So, and his testimony was kind of all over the place as well. But what I'm trying to say is that each piece of evidence that the prosecution brought forward had some kind of doubt in it, that there was a plausible deniability that Tory might have not been the one responsible. And my thing is, if you're going to bring someone on trial, it's got to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt.
Put it like this. I'm floored because I thought, it was going to be a combination of maybe many different things why they were going to possibly vote for any guilty charge against or any guilty verdict against Tory. What we now find out is that basically all 12 members of the jury believed Meg Thee Stallion's story, despite it omitting a bunch of details, despite her saying things that everybody else was like, no, that didn't happen. They believed her. Yeah. And again,
that's scary. It was Meg's testimony that got Tory convicted. And what scares me is that her testimony, number one, was shoddy at best. She was extremely intoxicated. She can't conclusively, what she says isn't proven through the evidence. And she omitted a bunch of important factors during it. For example, she did not admit that her and Kelsey fought.
And she lied multiple times.
Yeah.
And also the court as well. It's crazy.
She gave conflicting accounts. So my thing is, she should have never been a credible witness to begin with. And the fact that the jury actually believed her and convicted this man when there was a ton of reasonable doubt to prove that Kelsey could have also been a shooter is insane to me, man. So it is what it is. I mean, this is a scary moment for the criminal justice system in general, where a drunk, intoxicated woman can get on the stand, and that has lied before, by the way, as well, and given conflicting stories, can go ahead and be the reason that you are convicted of some very serious, egregious crimes. And not only is he going to go to prison, but now he's going to get deported as well if he isn't able to beat this on appeal.
And yo, Ak, as a yard man, how do you think Tory's father felt when he heard that verdict, bro?
Oh, he screamed at court.
Like his whole family was probably, I'm going to be honest with you, I think they probably all went in today to say, hey, we're going to get a verdict maybe today, if not on Tuesday. But I believe they were all going in like, yo, hey, get the champagne bottles popping. Like, yo, I think they were, everybody watching it, granted, they're asking random people that's been at the court throughout this whole process, hey, what do you guys think? Everybody's saying, yeah, I think Tory's getting off. Everybody. I don't see no one who says, nah, I think Tory's fucked. No one said it. Look at Mo Lawyers for Worker. He interviewed a bunch of different people. Hey, we this thing. Everyone's like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Even people who said, "Hey, I came into this biased for Meg," and I believe no, Tory's gonna beat this. So I gotta imagine that the shock from all these individuals, including like everybody from Tory's team and even family, ridiculous.
So going forward now with this verdict, that everyone knows about, you think Meg got a staple in the industry still? You think she's gonna be popping or no?
You know what? That's so interesting how this is gonna play out, because here's the thing. I feel like her status in the game ain't changed, right? So like she's been getting awards. I know she said she's been going through it personally, but she's been getting awards and really all these accolades. There's certain male entertainers, which she has even said in her own testimony, like Drake, like DaBaby, right? People, and obviously she says blogs, like every blog just hates her, right? But she says these people have picked a side, and I'm wondering if how those relationships in the future will go, right? Like I'm wondering, does Drake address this? Does Drake say anything about it? Does she ever do a song with Drake? Does she ever do a show with Drake? Like I see Tusi say something about it, saying kind of like it's fucked up. He didn't really speak against Meg, but like, is there gonna be a divide? I don't know,
bro. If I'm an artist and I saw what happened to Tory and Meg, nigga, I'm staying far away from Meg, bro. 1,000 with you, bro. I'm staying far away from Meg 100%. Because she could lie about him. Nigga, what about me? She can say anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy because it's her. And then also Sean Kelly, from what I understand, I'm talking with someone right now. They're telling me that he's the one that also said that he put the gun in Tory's hand. He said that Tory definitely had the gun on him, which, that in itself is pretty incriminating.
Yeah. Yeah. But when he said that, though, he said he saw his hand in the air, shooting wildly in the air.
Yeah.
That's why I thought if he was going to get caught with anything, it would have been the
discharge.
The discharge of the gross negligence, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. All 3 counts. I did not expect that. And me and you talked about that it would, if anything, it would be potentially the discharge or the possession of the firearm, but not the actual, you know what I mean? The other shit.
Hopefully go in the appeal.
Assault with a semi-automatic firearm, I was shocked. But I did say if he gets convicted of that, it's a 3-0. If you give him that, you got to give him the gross negligence, right? You also got to give him. You're gonna just assign possession towards him because the gun was found beneath his feet. So you're gonna basically say, "Fuck whose gun it was in the beginning." You already say he shot the gun. He shot someone. Now he has it beneath his feet. You give him the last charge. So it kind of went how obviously not the best way for Tory, but. If they convicted you of that big one, the rest was just Tory's probably stressed the fuck out tonight.
Yeah, I mean they put him in they remanded him to custody, and he's not going to get a bond, so he's going to have to wait and sit in jail until January 27th.
Damn, through the holidays too.
Yep.
Yo,
right
by the
before
way,
Christmas.
No, all the rappers got to say, bro, that you're a news outlet because, bro, everyone's watching your channel for this update, bro. Everybody and their mama. So
this was, there's moments in time in the history that I remember feeling like everybody was watching me. I remember when Drake and Meek were going back and forth. I felt like everybody was watching me. I remember when 6ix9ine was on the stand. I felt like everyone was watching me. I think I had like 30,000 people watching me read tweets. It was kind of like this, except I was just only on Twitch at that time. This time, we're on multiple platforms, and it was just like, people were waiting 2 years for this. And here's the funny part.
Yeah.
What we're not going to get is that most people aren't going to speak what they really feel about this case.
Facts.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can't.
Yeah, especially now with the verdict out.
They're going to hit me on my phone, be like, yo, Ak, this is crazy. They're going to whatever. And be like, yo, just between me and you, da-da-da-da. They're not going to say shit. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna be honest with you. You're going to see a lot of females who speak up, as you could expect. But the male rappers who don't speak up is more than likely because they don't necessarily thought this was gonna be how it was gonna be. So they're just not gonna put themselves on the record that it could be used against them. You know what I mean?
But I want to hear you on Wack 100 and then Charleston White talk about this.
What do you think is going to happen? Ak, what do you think is going to happen as far as like her career goes? Do you think people are going to just say, well, we're not working with her, or is she going to be able to? I mean, I don't think it's going to affect her that poorly because, like I said before, female artists don't necessarily get affected as negatively for cooperating with the police like male artists do. But what do you think?
Ask me, she's probably going to win some type of bravery or humanitarian award in the next year. They're going to create an award for her for outstanding courage. Through the face of, the adversity and this and third. I believe that it's always gonna be polarizing with her though. You know, I've personally said whether she won or she lost, because I knew there would never be punitive action, even if she, Tory won the case, right?
Yeah.
I do think she needs to, be a little bit more likable to both genders, because right now I feel like, a lot of dudes, whether they accept this verdict or not, they're feeling like, oh, Meg is the type of woman who would be lying on a dude. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think there's going to be nothing that happens to her career. She's only going to get bigger. I think certain artists are going to stay away from her.
Yeah.
And I won't say it will be necessarily a blackballing, but you're going to see certain artists rather not.
Yeah.
Not sure if it's going to be noticeable, though, because there's going to be a new line of artists or a new lineup of artists trying to work with her. So it might not even look noticeable.
Yeah, when it's very, and that again, Hassan coming in saying, well, what do you mean that male artists are more inclined to not work with the police? I mean, bro, come on, let's be honest here.
He don't know the culture.
He doesn't
bro.
understand the culture that, if a woman comes forward and says, hey, he shot me, especially if she's a victim and it's a male perpetrator, well, it's not going to have the same level of issue as if a male artist went ahead and said, yeah, I'm a snitch and cooperate against other dudes. It's not the same. Yeah. You can still revitalize your career as a female artist.
The reason why I didn't argue with him about that particular point of view is that I had him on here before, and we were talking about violence in Chicago and due to drill music.
Yeah,
and he refused to even acknowledge that revenge killings, retaliations, and making songs about dead ops and all this stuff that's fueling it is a very important contributing factor to why the violence continues. Mm-hmm. He literally stopped that they're only killing each other because of poverty. And I said, well, while that, he said, it says only poverty. I said, well, while that's a contributing factor, you have to understand that there's a bunch of things that might be cultural in nature that's fueling the crime rate. He just was like, no, it's just poverty. And I'm like, if you don't understand culture, I can't really even get to the point of arguing these things with you because you don't understand it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a nonsensical argument. Did you tell him that FBG Duck was a multimillionaire and still died from gang violence in one of the richest areas in Chicago?
Oh, I told him all this.
Incredible.
He just didn't want to hear it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I like having him on sometime, but that's what I'm glad you hopped in, because after a while I could just laugh, bro. Like, I fuck with him though, but I just gotta laugh, bro.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that he was blinded by Meg being a victim, and he refused to acknowledge the fact that just because she's a victim and she got shot does not mean that everything she says is on point, right? She's a witness just like anybody else, and her witness is, it can be criticized and or deemed to be not credible, especially since she went on multiple platforms, gave multiple reaccountments of the incident, and they were not consistent, which therefore hurts her credibility as a witness, and that's how it should be looked at. Him saying, oh, well, she was shot, she was the victim, etc. I mean, I get it. We're not here to victim blame, but at the same time, the victim's got to be able to be truthful to a degree, especially when we're looking at a man's life and being able to have him put in prison for a serious offense and having him be deported. Kelsey, same thing. Oh, well, she was going through postpartum depression. I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. You cannot lie. You cannot sit there. And he's basically saying, we got to give women the benefit of the doubt, is what he's essentially saying. And I'm saying you can't do that. Postpartum depression, her being sad, her being a victim, fuck that shit. This is why this BelieveAllWomen mindset that a lot of people like Lasan try to subscribe to, even though he's saying, no, I don't subscribe to that. But by your actions and what you're saying, you are subscribing to it because you're using female excuses such as postpartum depression, her being sad, her being shot, blah, 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 makes their testimony credible. No, it does not. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And that's why I'm such a big proponent on we cannot sit here and say, BelieveAllWomen. It's bullshit. Look at Amber Heard. If Johnny Depp had never recorded those situations and those instances, he would probably not only be culpable from a liability standpoint for As the civil case, he probably also would have went to prison.
Yeah.
But thank God he recorded those conversations and him attacking. And I really wish that someone had recorded this situation too, so we could have seen what the hell really happened. Because even if Tory did shoot at her, guess what? I guarantee you, Kelsey was involved too.
Yeah.
What's popping, bro?
But that's why I say I think Hassan is someone who knows how to sidestep really well.
Yo,
And you got to look at his audience too, bro. You got to look at his
my
audience.
bad, Myron.
Nah, go ahead.
Yo, what that fuck nigga diss me, bro?
Nah, he was upset at you.
That nigga diss me, bro. No cap, bro. I'm a boom on that nigga, bro. No cap when I see that nigga.
Okay.
I won't lie to you.
Yeah, nah, like again, if you understand, by the way, I watch fairly a good amount of his content. So like I understand how like he approaches shit. And like I think it works for his audience. He's like first of all, the moment I realized he was a socialist, it was a socialist political like streamer who, you know what I mean, like I feel like there's some hypocriticalness there anyway. You know what I mean? This guy lives pretty good, but he's saying that we should be in a socialist society. I get it with him. I get it.
No, Ak. My thing with Hassan was like I fuck with Hassan, but it was just like on this case, I watched his stream, so it was like I know he was reading blogs and like listen, this is what really made me like don't add this nigga, bro. He was reading Meg the Stallion blogs and he was believing everything Meg and the Stallion was saying, right? And then when Kelsey got on stand and she was testifying under oath, he was like, "Why should we believe her? Why should we believe her?" And I was like, "Bro, you're talking about niggas being biased, but you believe Megan Thee Stallion instantly, even though she lied on Gayle King, but you don't believe Kelsey when she said, oh yeah, that testimony I did, I was capping."
And every time we mention that, you know what she said? Why wouldn't I believe her? She got shot. And I'm like, all right, so you're one of those. Like, you know
bro, that shit made me like that made me realize he don't know what the fuck like I'm not gonna diss Hassan. Like Hassan knows what the fuck he talking about on debates and shit, but on this specific case,
politics, I'll give him his credit.
Yeah,
when it comes to talking about culture, like he's a headline reader, and
yeah, like he don't know what the fuck. But he was telling you that he was telling you female and male streamers, rappers don't condone snitching. It's only the real male rappers, bro. Female rappers rap about popping their pussy, riding dick. These niggas rap about shooting and killing niggas. Of course, their codes are different from a bitch who just rapping about Remy Weave and riding dick, bro. Like, let's be real.
Yo,
like,
he was arguing about the details of the case with me, who have covered pretty much every inch of it. Pause. And also Myron, who literally has gone through extreme, struggle and strife to go get court documents to break down, and he's going off headlines, and you know what I mean. At the end of the day,
not tapped in, bro. He's not tapped in.
Yeah, another thing you got to remember too is that Hassan is a political commentator. He appeases more to the liberal side. I wouldn't call him a far leftist, but he definitely is a leftist. So you also got to know when he makes his arguments, he makes his arguments from a very leftist perspective. So what do leftists a lot of the times do? They align themselves with victims. They align themselves with women. They align themselves with social justice warriors. That's why he was so strong when I said, well, Meg isn't a credible witness. Oh my God, how can you say that? She got shot. Well, we can absolutely say that because she lied on the record on multiple situations. That is a fact. That is not my opinion. She lied in multiple situations, and or she omitted information that was critical to the case. For example, I said she did not admit, right, that she had sex with Tory. Well, why is that relevant? Why does her sexual past matter? Well, it does matter because it started the fight, bro. But again, Hassan is a political commentator that argues from the left, so he's got to go with the feels before the reels.
Yeah,
bro, Myron, Hassan literally said, oh, why does that matter? And it was like, bro, nigga, Megan lied by saying, bro, she never fought with Kelsey. She said it was never an altercation with Kelsey. Tory beat Kelsey up. The witness literally said he saw Kelsey kicking her hoofs, nigga, her fucking True Religion horseshoes in the air, nigga.
Also, remember, Meg said, hey, me and Tory fucked, but she said with Kelsey and Tory, it was just a crush. She downplayed it. Why? Because in her narrative, she didn't have an issue with Kelsey over Tory. When Kelsey gets on the stand, Kelsey says, well, her and Tory was fucking months before her and Meg was fucking. Now, if you listen to that, makes sense. You both were having sex with Tory. If you listen to only Meg, only one of y'all were having sex with Tory. The other one just seems like a fan who had a crush.
All these lies, bro. Tory's probably gonna be in jail, bro. It's crazy, bro.
Yeah,
that's wild, man.
I mean, I think the takeaway for men from this situation is number one, don't be in California.
Facts.
Number two, you know what I mean? Don't be anywhere near a firearm if you don't have some kind of concealed carry license. And just don't get drunk around chicks, bro. Because I mean, this was all, and the scary part is that all the witnesses were drunk in this, and they were able to still convict them with a good amount of evidence that showed reasonable doubt.
Yeah, I'll tell you
Wild.
what. I bet you what. This is one time Tory. I bet Tory wish he didn't dabble in the dark. I'll say that.
Oh man, yeah, bro. And I wish someone had recorded this situation. If they had recorded this, I mean, fuck, man. Even if Tory did let off the shots, at least they would have seen that it wasn't just him. It was Kelsey involved as well. Because I genuinely think Kelsey was involved in this and shot that gun as well.
I think it's
Myron, that's why she pleaded the fifth, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I think it's very early for us to think about just kind of mistakes and what other moves could have made and ramifications. I'm wondering if Tory's thinking about it now, like, hey, maybe I should have had Jaquan testify, and maybe I should have took the stand. I thought he had a great case without it, but like, damn, like, I mean, what else could he have done at this point?
Tory is eating an apple and some ham and cheese sandwich right now, nigga. Like, he's locked up, nigga. It's over. It's over for right now. It's over with. So like it's over with. Like, sorry. Like, the jury but it was 7 bitches and what, 3, 4 niggas? What was it, Myron? 5, 4 niggas?
7-5.
Yeah, 7-5.
Yeah, so it's like when bitches see Megan Thee Stallion cry, they gonna eat that shit up, bro. They gonna eat that shit up like a Lifetime drama, bro. They eating that shit up, bro. And they gonna influence the niggas, bro.
Yeah,
Niggas.
and I said it before that Meg did a good job because her job wasn't to necessarily report the facts. Her job was to report the feelings. And what she was able to do was to be able to pull at the heartstrings as a victim, as the star witness for the prosecution alongside Kelly, who's supposed to be the other star witness. And they believed her, bro. That's what she did, was she got on there and she cried and she made it a scene, and they believed her. And this is scary how someone's testimony that quite frankly isn't a credible witness, and that has been proven through fact because she lied on multiple situations. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. She lied multiple times. The fact that a witness that isn't credible, that was intoxicated on top of that, was able to convict someone is wild.
Yo, by the way, have you seen the Shade Room comments? They're eating Tory up, bro. She's crazy.
Of course, nigga, of course.
Yo,
I know why.
he died.
The jury's the verdict is the verdict, bro. You gotta just sit that deal.
That's crazy, bro. Like,
yeah, Shade Room is run by a bunch of feminists anyway.
He's in the inmate system right now. Like, I'm looking at that shit right now. Nobel Court 127 2023. He's in that bitch.
I know in the next few hours, and definitely next day or two, I'm gonna get a lot of people from the industry who won't share these opinions publicly, but they're gonna let me know, and they're gonna be like, "Yo, damn, that's crazy, huh?" But I'm gonna be honest with you. If we had these conversations about Tory being blackballed, it's effectively safe to say that Tory, number one, he should definitely worry about his freedom and citizenship way before career. But as of any time current, his career is kind of lights out for it now. Bro, what I mean? By the way, I wouldn't even be surprised if Meg and her team doesn't try to go at DSPs, even though I think this will be unsuccessful, for them to even have his music up. They were trying to do the R. Kelly, like, hey, why R. Kelly's music?
No. It's rappers that's murdering niggas that are still on fucking DSPs. Like, R. Kelly shit was insane, but like they like, come on, bro. Tory Lanez ain't go that crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was a bullet fragment. It like he shot the bitch in the head.
Hey, you got to realize he's convicted. Like, again, you're kind of contextualizing it. What the headline is always going to read from now: Tory Lanez convicted of shooting a popular. This is, people loved, obviously, they love Rihanna more, but this is, just when you think about a shot, a weapon.
Nigga, Chris Brown put them Broly hands on her, bro. Like, let's be real, bro.
Well, actually, no, never mind.
Well, Rihanna
did a Drake feature.
Rihanna did beat the shit out of him too, but they're not going to talk about that on the air because it's always, what I'm saying? We always put women first as the victims, but she beat the hell out of Chris Brown as well. But no one's going to ever report that because that's the unpopular opinion.
But nobody's ever going to report that Tory and Megan, via the witness, fought.
Yeah, over this. Yeah, they ain't going to talk about that either. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, bro,
that shit like, boom, right? Boom. Imagine the average guy has girls like lying on him, say, "Yo, he hit me, whatever." He has no defense, bro. If Tory can't win this case, bro, we're all doomed, bro. 1,000%.
Bro, yo, Fresh, it's so fucked up, bro. That shit is so fucked up, bro. If you don't have an on camera like video of the bitch like wilding, you're automatically at fault as a nigga, bro, which is fucked up in this world.
100%.
But, hey, what can I say, bro? What can I say,
Actually interesting. I seen Benzino mention it, saying I think Tory Lanez spent more than $1 million on this case.
Wow.
Oh yeah, 100%.
More, probably more.
Wow.
Yeah, 100%. I believe it.
Yeah, I seen Benzino say hundreds of thousands, and I'm like, nah, this is $1 million. This is $1 million defense. It's $1 million defense right here. You got to remember, this been going on for 2 years. There's been many motions to remand him. They have kept him out of jail. They upped the bond, this, that, and third. There's been a lot of stuff that's going on. I think he spent definitely $1 million on it. I'm wondering how this is gonna happen when it comes to cash flow for him for an appeal, this, that, and third. He definitely spent a good amount.
He's gonna have to be an international artist. He's gonna have to do the 6ix9ine thing and just do abroad and that's it. Because I estimate, let's say he doesn't win the appeal and he's got to actually do jail time. Since he went to trial, he's probably gonna have to deal with a higher jail sentence. It's the California penal system, so they'll probably give him somewhere between 5 to 15 years, somewhere in that range. He'll probably get out on good behavior, and then immigration is going to be there waiting for him, and then they're going to put him in removal proceedings, and they're going to report him.
Yo, Mar, I don't know about that, bro. I don't think he's going to do 5 years. I think he'll probably get 3 years. I don't know, 2 years.
I'm estimating somewhere
between, shoot the bitch. You know what I'm saying?
But you got to remember that he went to trial. Anytime you go to trial, they're gonna hit you with the book a little bit more than if you take a plea deal. So I estimate somewhere between 5 to 15 years is what he'll end up getting. He might end up serving 3 years for good behavior, and then they're gonna go ahead and start the deportation.
I think the sentence for the aggravated assault with a firearm is 9 years with a semi-automatic. I think that's 9 years. I think he'll get concurrent for the other charges, which get less years.
For sure. So
I
think the maximum is 22 or something like that. Like 22 years altogether, max.
I think in California, you might be doing 60% of your time in California.
I just got to say, man, there's a saying in the Bible that talks about women destroying kingdoms, bro. And dude, that man built a massive music career over a period of time, put in the work to be destroyed by a bitch, bro. That's crazy.
And Hasan said that Tory Lanez hasn't been relevant since 2016. I was like, bro, this dude ain't.
That's what I knew. Hasan didn't know shit about the culture, because at that time, Tory Lanez had the #3 song in the world with with Jack Harlow and the Baby, or Lil Wayne. It was somebody else on it, but at that time he had the #3 song in the world.
Quarantine Radio was busting.
You could tell, and he had Quarantine Radio, so you could tell Hasan was just dick riding for the bitches to get tier 3 subs from bitches who oh my god, Hasan, you're such a white knight and shit like that. You tell.
I'm looking at the sentencing guidelines according to the semi-automatic assault with a semi-automatic firearm. So it's punishable for at least up to 9 years in prison, and obviously there's some fines and some other shit. But if it says 9 years, 9 years. Obviously, apparently he wasn't on probation prior, and he didn't have a felony. He didn't have a felony record, so I gotta imagine maybe they give him 6 to 7. He'll probably be on 3 to 4.
Bro, I doubt it, bro. I doubt that shit. I don't know. I doubt it though. For a first felony, bro. I mean, Myron is the Fed nigga, so he know more than me.
He went to trial. He went to trial. That's why I think he's gonna have to do some time because he went to trial. Anytime you go to trial, bro, they're gonna.
And they do amplify it, but it's bro, it's your first time still. I don't know, bro. It might be 5 though. You're right.
Yeah.
You might get out 3 years time served.
Yeah. They might. You know what I mean? And there's California. There's parole. There's good behavior. There's all this shit. And then obviously he's got the deportation waiting. So
is that gonna happen for real? Is he gonna get deported for real?
Yeah, bro. 100%. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's out of here, nigga. He's in Barbados, nigga. He's in Cancun somewhere, bro. Where are you from?
Yeah. They're gonna send him back to Canada after this, because I don't even know if he had a green card, but even if he had one, a felony conviction is that's a wrap. He was probably here on a visa. Like an entertainer visa, but more than likely, as soon as he does his time out of California, ICE is definitely going to be there. They're going to pick him up and put him in deportation proceedings.
Damn. So that means
he will never be able to come back to the United States.
So that means
this question, right? Because this is what I would do, right?
Wow.
If I got charged like that 2 years ago, I'm doing whatever I can, which obviously the first thing would be I'm getting married, right? I'm doing something to try to get my citizenship, or at least a green card, some type of permanent resident card, that I'm not facing deportation if I get convicted.
It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter.
He's in jail though.
I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter because if he had let's say he was married to a chick and he was in the process of naturalizing into a U.S. citizen, and this happened, it wouldn't matter. His green card will still be. He'd lose it.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you this, bro.
He would still lose it. Yeah.
The baby taking all his holes now.
Yeah, and the crazy part is he's going to be excluded. He won't be able to enter the United States after this, probably.
Okay, is it 100% that ICE will go through with deportation proceedings, or does it depend?
Bro, like a 90, I would say 98% chance he's going to get deported after this because he has a felony conviction. He's a superstar. The feds definitely already lodged their detainer at this point on him, ICE. So, and the detainer basically is an agreement between the jail and ICE that they're going to be there to pick him up when he's released.
Yo, Myron. Wait, hold on. Yo, Myron. What's the chances that he succeeds in appeal?
I think he has a strong appeal case in this situation. I genuinely do think that he has and that's really the only thing that's left is an appeal because he would have to appeal this bad boy. And then once he gets that appeal, if he can overturn this, then that deportation will be null and void.
Wow.
Well, hold on. So could he go into potentially a immigration hold while he's going through an appeal? Like, for example, 21 Savage. I know 21 Savage, the case that he hasn't been, so the gun case hasn't been even litigated yet. So he basically is in this immigration hold type of thing where that's the only reason why he's not deported, right?
Yeah.
Clearly there was a verdict given here, but if you file the appeal, let's say that the appeal is like approved or whatever the case is, clearly he's going to be in jail. But could you use that to possibly get a hold where if you complete your sentence, they don't immediately ship you out?
Nah, because it's already been, so since he's been convicted, like as soon as he serves a sentence, like I guarantee you ICE already probably lodged a detainer now.
Wow.
Like they're going to be in the process of lodging a detainer very soon, like once he gets sentenced. So yeah, like because the difference between 21 Savage and Tory is that Tory got convicted now in a criminal court versus 21 is still waiting for his stuff. So immigration kind of has it up in limbo. Like, okay, we'll see what happens once that case is adjudicated. Then we can make our call on immigration.
Wait,
interesting. From what I heard, if 21 loses that case, even on appeal, he would have to wait outside of the United States for it. He couldn't wait within. So he would have to go back to the UK and wait for the appeal there rather than wait here, which is, that's kind of tough. I really don't know Tory's immigration.
Yeah, because they would. Yeah, because let's say they convicted him, right? Let's say 21's case, they convict him and they say, all right, probation. It doesn't matter. It's a felony conviction. They would go and remove him because now they got an official document saying that he's a convicted felon. They would take that JNC, boom, and put him into removal proceedings.
Would I get deported too?
I've been robbing.
No, you're a US citizen.
Okay, cool. Thank God.
Wait. So I got a question.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know this shit. I'm on a Hassan shit right now. I don't know much, but I'm gonna ask you about it, nigga. So you remember the one jury who was like, "Oh, I know about social media. I followed them or something like that," and she was like, "Oh, but I'm gonna be fair." Is she still in the jury, or was she like substituted by somebody else?
Apparently, she was still in there.
She was still in it.
Yeah. So I mean, you have a case for what appeal, right?
The defense can absolutely, raise an appeal. They can raise an appeal and cite a multitude of reasons as to why Tory Lanez didn't get a fair trial.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro. It's so much evidence for a reasonable doubt, bro.
Yeah,
it's like you have to get an appeal, bro. It's like you have to just appeal that shit because like that.
Yeah, they're 100%. It's like an auto thing. Like they almost always file an appeal immediately after a verdict is written.
But let's be real here.
Can
they afford to take a loss with Tory? They can't.
Who can afford to take a loss?
Like the system itself, the agenda. If they lose, if Tory wins his case, then he proves all of them wrong. That will look bad on them.
True. LA did anything to try to they try to get him on bribery. Like they try to anything.
I think it's rigged, honestly.
Well, it's gonna go to the Supreme, the California Supreme Court, and then if it needs to get elevated even more, then it can.
I don't even think an appeal is going to come through before he does at least a few years. I think it's going to be.
It's going to take. He's going to do some jail time until this appeal is finally filed away and everything. Wow. Yeah, he's going to do some time because it takes a long time, man.
Yo, it's over. It's over that nigga hairline.
People are gonna just take this into their just mentality that okay, this is what happened and move on. People are on to the next thing. They're thinking about YSL. a year from now, they're not going to be like holding on to hope, like, yo, whoa, we're waiting for the appeal. Nah, it's going to be like, all right, yo, even if we disagreed with it, like that shit's over with. You know what I mean? The same steam and the same, you know what I mean? Like support that people were kind of giving, hoping that he was going to be innocent. I don't see them giving a fuck like that again.
Damn.
I think this is the one and done thing.
That's crazy. That's tough.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's gonna fight for his freedom and it's like, you know, his ability to make a living. But I don't think the public will be invested like this again for anything to do with this particular case, especially an appeal.
Yeah, because appeals are hard to overturn.
I'm waiting on Meg to do the ultimate gloat thing, like, you know what I mean, do the encore, like the victory lap. I know it's going to be...
What about Vibes Cartel's appeal? Vibes Cartel.
That's Jamaican law, different.
The Vibes Cartel is like completely different though. Like Vibes Cartel is like bigger than Drake in Jamaica. So like what Drake is to the United States, he's bigger than that because he's almost like he's a cultural leader that almost has power like a government official. You get what I mean? So like people grow up on him, so people care about him way more than they would care about a Tory Lanez. You get what I mean?
Okay.
Facts.
All right.
Yo, Ak, you think they're gonna make a custom jumpsuit for Tory Lanez in there? Just see like 5.
Stop playing with Tory.
Well, I'm just saying, bro. He guilty, bro. He in there right now. He in the system. I'm looking it up.
I actually believe that. Yo, I think Tory might have been doing like a documentary or something like that, man.
It's over with for that documentary, nigga. I'm not gonna lie. That documentary got a halt to that shit.
This shit got me mad, bro. I'm not gonna hold you.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, all I took away from this was that if there was this amount of conflicting information, this amount of conflicting testimony, this amount of evidence that showed that there's potentially another shooter, yeah, dude. And it wasn't necessarily just Tory Lanez by himself. The fact that he was still convicted with a real defense team and experts testifying on his behalf, even the state's expert that testified for the DNA couldn't conclusively say it was Tory Lanez. I mean, yeah, bro, this is an L for the criminal justice system in general. And the only thing I could take away from this is California is an L. Gun laws in California are an L. Don't be drunk around women and don't do stupid shit. And you got to be, on your P's and Q's, man, because we live in a world where believe all women and yeah, it's just wild shit, man. It's just wild. It's crazy.
I told y'all niggas Megan was innocent, bro. I told y'all niggas, bro, three days ago. Bro, niggas ain't believe me.
Bruh, get out of here with that, man.
Like, I'm watching all the comments on even Shade Room. Like, yeah, there's a lot of fans, and obviously, like a lot of women who probably more than the case, they're probably thinking about maybe situations they feel they've been victimized, so they're kind of just coming out and
they're going out the feels versus the reals.
But like I'm scrolling through, I don't really see many people from the industry who are like, oh yes, finally got him. I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm looking at this one with 13,000 comments. I don't see a bunch of like industry folks, who are like celebrating this. And if you ask me, it's because I really believe the majority of the industry, the tides were turning, and they really were believing Tory.
What if you see Drake post on his story like, "Yo, Megan was innocent, man. I feel so sad for her." What do you want to do, Ak?
Nah, Drake shit.
How do you do it though?
He's trolling. He's trolling, bro.
Oh shit! Let me stop, bro.
Yeah, I'm looking at. They have 90,000 comments on this one thing, and for all the verified people, it's like Instagram, it's like Shade Room celebrities. There's no like rapper. There's no one. I'm not seeing it.
No, Hassan knew not to add me in
this
there,
is sad, bro. This is just sad, bro. Like we as men took an L. Keep it 1,000, bro.
Yeah, criminal justice system took an L.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, y'all just gotta move. Y'all just gotta move smarter with these hoes, bro. You know you just be, bro.
This is a lesson for all the guys out there, bro.
Hey,
big lesson.
Just have your phone out, bro. I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah, you got to record any bullshit that you're on with a woman, bro. You got to pull your phone out and record, because even in this situation, like Kelsey and Meg were trying to protect each other in the beginning, which is why they didn't necessarily admit that they had fought each other, which is a very important fact that they didn't disclose to the police in the beginning.
And Ak, you made a good point as well. You brought a video showing what happened right after that altercation, and Kelsey was saying, "Yo, Meg, you good? You good, girl?" Da-da-da. I'm like, bro. They were still friends at that point in time. So it's like, it's 2 against 1, bro. But
you could tell she beat her ass and was like, "Damn, I did not mean to shoot your ass." Like, damn, you good?
But
like, damn.
But I know you got to be somewhat. But I mean, you were very like objective. You weren't like on one side or the other, so I get that part as well. But
I try to play this as objective I can.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, you know, I'm a man, so like I know how sometimes people, once they just hear about a man and a woman, a lot of people are inclined to believe like just the word men means abuser.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Like they've almost vilified having a balls and the dick. So it's like as soon as they hear something between a man and a woman, they just be like, oh, this thing is guilty. So again, you know, when I first, like, you know, I reserved judgment at first. And then once I saw like a bunch of stuff coming out, I'm like, well, maybe the whole story isn't told. And I was just down to give him a chance. I'm down to, you know, again, you could ask Tory from even when we first even talked about it. You know what he said? He said, Ak, I'm gonna be honest with you. He says, yo, he says, I'm actually surprised. Remember, I don't know if y'all remember, me and Tory weren't on the same page for a second. People in my stream remembered. Because it was some shit on Clubhouse, this and third. But in reality, I just looked at I looked at him, and it wasn't about, oh, that is Tory. I was just like, I was looking at the facts of what I'm hearing coming out, and it looked like it could be more to the story. And unfortunately, people, me not jumping to conclusions, people thought I was being paid by Tory. People thought that, like, yo, you want to fuck Tory. Like, you know, like there's just some, like they make up all type of stuff, right? Like they make up all type of things just because you're like, let me see what's going on. Then I would report things that were accurate, but it didn't make Meg look the best. And then people were like, no, why would you report that? And I'm like, wait, are we only in the business of reporting things that make Meg look like the absolute victim? And I realized that, you know, Tory was in a fixed fight. You know, I call the shots on my own platform. There's no Rock Nation or nobody else that could just program me and tell me how to do it. And, you know, I'm my own man. And if you ask me if I would do anything any different going back, no. Like, I would have covered it the same way. Yes, towards the end of it, after covering like 10 days in court, yeah, I started making up my mind personally on what I think. I'm like, you know, I think, listen, I still don't know who did it.
Yeah.
Right. But I definitely thought it was going to be the case. I thought that's an easy assumption.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, this case is bullshit. You get what I mean? I'm like, this case is bullshit. Right. And when I see this type of shit, I'm like, wow, this is, you know, a little speechless about it. But
well, Ak, you put in the time. You're a great journalist, bro. You deserve some time for yourself now because you've been covering this day in and day out. So, Ak, we need a pacification. Lil Boom, Myron, myself, to Dubai.
Yo.
Let's go, bro.
Yeah,
we out, bro. We in Dubai, bro. We in shit on our chest,
Top
bitches,
G.
bro.
I think the situation
by
here.
the way, you
Go
know,
ahead. Go ahead.
you know, I guarantee Tory's sitting back and thinking, if this had happened in Florida, he's free.
Yeah.
He's super,
There
nigga.
you go.
He's super
Yeah.
free, nigga.
There you go.
He's super free.
Yo, Chris, let's kill the streams on everywhere except for YouTube. Guys, come
Yeah.
on over to YouTube on Fresh and Fit, man. Sorry if you're watching us on one of the other ones.
Yo,
Sorry.
Ak,
And Rumble
hey,
too.
Boogie posted free my bros, bro. You think they had anything to do with Tory Lanez, bro?
Yeah, they just had a song together. Take shots.
Nigga posted free my bros 20 minutes ago, nigga.
Oh, he said free my bros. He put an S on it.
Nigga, free my bros, nigga, with a black heart.
Oh, he
Damn.
probably talking about Young Thug and
Nigga, he talking about Tory the GOAT, Daystar Peterson, nigga. Fuck you talking
You
about,
say,
nigga?
hey Boogie,
Hey, Boogie with the hoodie, nigga. Fuck you talking about, nigga?
bro. I definitely am clicking on his page. There's nothing in the story.
Nigga, on God, nigga, on his page, nigga, on his post.
But he
What are
said
you talking
he
about?
said bros, if anything, so it will be multiple people.
He posted a picture of himself. Like
He
come on.
said free my bros though. Like that's a crazy caption, bro.
Okay, last thoughts.
This nigga, bro.
Last thoughts.
Yeah, I'm on Tory Lanez shit on the like inmate shit, and this is his shit. He in there.
I think the problem here is that the state didn't really prove their case yet. They still got the benefit of a conviction.
Damn.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There was a considerable amount of the reasonable doubt here, and they still were able to get the conviction, which is the scary part here. The fact that, you know, the defense did a fantastic job of creating reasonable doubt, creating some questions, theorizing some other situations that could actually stand up, right, from a logical standpoint, and the fact that they still convicted him with all of these doubts is what's scary. And I agree with you, Ak. If this was done in Florida, if this was done in Texas, if this was happening somewhere else, this probably wouldn't have went down like this. You know, I mean, there were so many holes in the prosecution's case between the lead detective being in trouble and not being able to do things properly, from the police that when they arrived on the scene, they didn't properly mark the evidence. There was blood and bullets everywhere, yet they didn't properly mark it. You got your star witness, Meg the Stallion, not necessarily giving testimony that was, how do I say this, cohesive with other statements that she had made prior. You got Kelsey, who took the fifth when she went on the stand, and then she had to get immunity to finally say what the hell happened when they asked her, hey, why did you lie? She said, oh, to protect myself. She just kept repeating to protect myself. They had DNA evidence that wasn't conclusive whatsoever. There was a considerable amount of doubt put into this case, and the fact that they were still able to convict is scary to me. Extremely scary, and it should be scary to everyone else out there.
I think the only thing to take from this is that I believe the goalpost was moved. I believe that, instead of creating reasonable doubt, I think based on public narrative and the atmosphere we're living in today, it was incumbent on Tory to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he didn't do it. And that's not how the law is supposed to work. It's supposed to work in the opposite. That's the prosecutor's job. And I feel like unless Tory was going to bring a videotape that showed Kelsey herself shooting a gun, it feels like, what else could he have done this time around? Like, what else could he have done? I mean, we could sit here and be like, well, he could have took the stand, but in reality, the majority of cases, you're not even supposed to take the stand.
No. The only time you take the stand as a defendant is self-defense cases, right? That's why Kyle Rittenhouse took the stand. That's why I think, if I'm not mistaken, Zimmerman took the stand in his case. You have to be able to articulate the facts as to why you pulled the trigger and or killed that person in your situation. But rarely, if ever, do you ever put your defendant on the stand. And there was no need in this case because Kelsey had done a lot of the heavy lifting for them by creating a good amount of doubt. And this is just wild to me.
Really think about this, you've covered this particular case when it comes to like OJ. By the way, he was just recently on Nelk podcast. A lot of why he got off was the reasonable doubt. You know what I mean? Again, it wasn't on the defense to prove that, oh, this is the person that did it or whatever the case is. Think what I want to think, right? That's basically what it was. It was just like, yo, listen, there's a lot of doubt that my client did this, and actually the evidence is leaning towards that it's highly probable that he didn't do it. You know what I mean? And that's usually enough. Even if it's highly publicized, even if it's a case where people are torn down the middle, but for whatever reason, this is a case where I don't know. I'm scratching my head a little bit because I feel like we need a little bit more clarification. I know the jurors, Megan Cunniff is saying that she's down to talk to the jurors, and I would love to hear an anonymous interview from one of these jurors kind of explaining the process of how did this kind of happen. By the way, also, if you know anything about the woke agenda and all this type of stuff, I was just listening to Ben Shapiro. He was on Nelk. I've been listening to Nelk podcast a lot. And basically, he was talking about how social media companies are so woke, for example. And the reason why is most of them are based in California. All these people that are from like San Francisco, all of them got trans kids. You know what I mean? They're picking their kids are picking genders. You know what I mean? They're gender neutral, and they support that type of way of life and that type of kind of woke living a little bit. And if you're living in California, you got to be a little bit scared because, now if a narrative of a crime goes against what you're being accused of, and you're now going to be relying on a bunch of people who are supposed to be your peers, they're probably more likely to walk up in that courtroom with that same mentality because that's the prevalent mentality over there. You know what I mean?
I also want to say this too. I'm not saying that Tory was innocent, but the prosecution definitely didn't prove that he was guilty. And that's my problem here. That is the main takeaway here. I am not saying he's innocent, but the prosecution 100% did not prove that he was guilty, which is what I think is the problem here, because the criminal justice system exists so that it is better to let a guilty man walk free than to put an innocent man in jail. That's the basis upon this criminal justice system. That's how it's supposed to be. And the fact that they could not conclusively prove that he was the shooter with all the different types of evidence that conflicted that he was the shooter, it's wild to me, man. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah. I think he has a strong case for an appeal, though. And I think he has to appeal it because the thing is with Tory, he has a lot to lose in this situation. He has more to lose than any other defendant that I've ever seen, because we're not just talking about him doing some jail time. We're talking about him being deported from the United States and not being able to, tour in the U.S. We know rappers, a lot of their money comes from touring and doing shows. And let's be honest, the United States is the largest market share for when it comes to hip hop? Can he still go abroad and make money in Europe and stuff like that? Like artists like 6ix9ine? Absolutely. You know, I think he'll be fine from a financial perspective and making music, but a good market share of his is going to be missing by not being able to be in the United States.
Hey, no DNA was found either, bro.
No, it wasn't. I know. That's what I'm saying. That's scary.
Yo,
Hey, bro, this is crazy.
And by the way, for anybody who's thinking, you know, because you know he's probably gonna be in there for a while now. If you're thinking on the lines of a Lil Wayne or a Kodak Black, Gavin Newsom, who's the governor of California, he's the one that's within his jurisdiction. It's not a federal case. He just got reelected, so usually they do pardons at the end of their term. But that nigga's Democrat. That
nigga vote Trump. Nigga Trump free my nigga Tory. They gonna God. They gonna vote Trump.
Even if Trump got the presidency, he couldn't do it. Like this is a state.
Yeah,
case.
but even if Tory got a pardon,
nigga like Brittany Griner, nigga no cap.
Guys, even if Tory got a pardon, it wouldn't change the fact that he's still convicted of a felony, so he would still be deported.
Damn.
Even if they did give him, let's say the governor say, you know what, man, fuck that shit, I don't believe that, whatever, and he gave him, you know, and he let him out, he still would have that felony conviction, so he would still have to he would still get deported.
Wow,
man.
Really?
Yeah. Yo, it's RP for my nigga Tory, bro. Just give it up, bro.
Yo, so basically, in a nutshell, his career is done.
Yeah.
No matter
you
what.
would pardon him, but that conviction would still stand.
When you pardon someone, it doesn't vacate the entire conviction?
From what I understand, you're still convicted. They just let you out of jail.
I thought when
let me look it up.
Commuted, I thought when your sentence was commuted, they just basically let you out of jail, which means that it's end your sentence. But a pardon should kind of clear it. I'm not. You might be right on that one. That's a good thing to look up.
Yeah.
Was a pardon?
Kelsey done Tory wrong? I don't think so. I think the
pardon expunge your record. Okay. Well, it says while a presidential pardon will restore various rights lost as a result of a pardon offense, and should lessen to some extent the stigma arising from a conviction, it will not erase or expunge your record.
Bam. Okay, there you go. So he would still be deported.
Oh man.
Yeah, it just gets him out of prison, but it doesn't necessarily. Yeah. He's got to appeal this. He's got to appeal this. That's really what it is. At least if he wants to be able to, fight for the ability to stay in the United States, because I don't really foresee I can't think in my head of any type of immigration loophole that would allow him to stay in the United States.
Yeah.
Even if he was in the process, let's say he had a green card because he had a U.S. citizen that he had married or whatever, that green card would be in the process of getting revoked at this point. So
Ak. Well, Ak. You think Tory should have took that 1 year, 1 day deal, bro?
He would have still got deported.
He would
never been found guilty. Shit.
Bro, but he would admit the guilt though.
Yeah, but now he's gonna be performing in Guatemala, my nigga.
Hey, but he can perform Ghana with Chance the Rapper, nigga.
Nigga said Guatemala.
Yo. I'm telling you, his stakes were high.
Yeah,
and
he had to fight it. No choice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like Kathy Ty and Alexander Bott walked out of that courtroom or walked into it today for the second day of deliberations thinking, yeah, we fucking blew this and we kind of got embarrassed. And they somehow got a Hail Mary. And obviously now you have the district attorney dropping statements this and third. They probably wrote that up in like 15 minutes. They'd be like, oh shit, we won? Like seriously, like they fucking.
Yeah, prosecution was probably shocked they won too. Be honest.
Yeah. Wow.
They definitely weren't supposed to win, bro. Like that shit's so much reasonable doubt, bro. They were not supposed to win. But hey, fuck it, bro. What can you do, bro? The jury made a verdict, bro. What can you really do? But appeal.
So now everyone's on Gunna's case now.
Oh yeah, hoping this shit didn't end.
Yeah, Gunna snitch, but he the GOAT. You know what I mean? Like Gunna snitch, but he's still the GOAT. You know what I mean?
Gunna was hoping this shit didn't end. All right, man. Listen, yo, this has been great. I'm getting off of here now.
Yes, sir.
I put my little 9 hours in. Actually, more than that. It's 10 hours. It's 4 minutes till 10 hours. Yo, boom, if you want, I'll give you a host. Yo, thank you guys for watching on YouTube.
I'm live, bro. I'm live. I'm getting them niggas a real, bro. I'm getting them niggas real.
Yo, if you guys are watching on YouTube, you guys are definitely more than welcome to go check out Fresh and Fit.
Yeah, come on over to Fresh and Fit, guys. We'll close this out here in a minute. If you guys are watching Ak stream.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Ak. No, it was great talking with you, man.
Big AK.
All right. Cool. All right. So Fresh, what's your thoughts on that whole situation? Obviously, there was a lot there.
So we got the whole details of what happened, the verdict. Like I said earlier, I'm a bit pissed because we thought we had it in the bag. We thought you know, with all the evidence that they brought up, it wasn't showing that Tory was actually one that did it, and they still convicted him for the actual charges. And now it's more like this man's career is over because of hearsay. Now Meg was damaged in this altercation with her foot, but we don't know who did it. But as a result, this man's life is in jeopardy. His whole career is in jeopardy because, you know, he's convicted. So my thing is like, yes, you know, if he was guilty 100%, but we don't know for sure. But the fact he's going to be convicted and be guilty because of that, it's sad because this means that each guy out there that's in a scenario like this, no matter what happens, especially in California, it's pretty much believe all women. And if that's the case, then who's really safe? Nobody's really safe. And it's sad because, bro, I mean, Tory was cool, man. I mean, I don't know if he did it or not, but like, it's just sad, bro.
Yeah. I don't necessarily have to, unless you guys want me to in the chat, I can go over all the things that the prosecution did wrong. Give me a 1 in the chat if y'all want me to go through all of it, or I can just give my last thoughts on the situation. If you guys want me to, give me a 2 if you guys don't want me to go through it. Give me a 1 if you guys want me to go through all the things the prosecution went wrong. Let's see what they say, and then I'll just do whatever y'all want. We got 9,900 plus y'all in here, so do me a favor, guys. Like the video for my hair, and like the video for LasanAbi, just talking out of his ass and not knowing what he was talking about. He was wrong about so many things.
So many L's.
So, all right. So we'll go through some of the things here that the prosecution did wrong, guys, because I covered this case extensively on Fedit with my boy, Andrew Esquire. And maybe I can even get him on the stream here in a second he can give his quick take. But he's, as you guys know, he's in Korea. But let me go ahead and give you guys, because I took a screenshot and I have my notes here as far as what the prosecution did wrong. So there were a couple of pieces of evidence here. So first I'll go over the police officers, right? The police officers that showed up on the scene, guys, they didn't properly mark the evidence. They didn't mark the bullet casings and they didn't mark the blood. So there was no clear idea or indication as to what happened when the shots went off and the pattern that Meg traveled in, so that they can be conclusive as to where she was shot, what actually occurred. So in other words, the forensic evidence wasn't that strong, okay, because the police didn't properly mark it. Also, the prosecution heavily relied upon a jail call and the text messages between Tory and Meg. And the thing also, guys, you got to remember is that they basically were able to take those phone calls and the text messages where Tory was apologizing profusely, saying, yo, well, look, he's apologizing. What is he apologizing for? He was apologizing because he shot Meg, right? Now, this would have all sounded good because they said this in opening statements because they thought Kelsey was going to testify on their behalf, because when she went in September to do her interview, September of this year, by the way, 2 years after the fact, she gave them a statement that implicated Tory as the shooter. However, when Kelsey did actually take the stand, she pled the fifth, which I'll talk about that here in a second. So the jail call and the text messages, but we know that he could have apologized for a multitude of different things. He could have apologized for hitting on Kylie Jenner, right? Because we know Meg was jealous about that situation as told by Kelsey and other people that were there at the scene. He could have been apologizing for the fact that he didn't want to leave the house when they originally wanted to leave. It's pretty much verified at this point that they left the house and then they came back and then Meg pulled Tory out of the house the second time, right? According to Kelsey's testimony. It could have been her getting shot. It could have been him exposing Meg the Stallion for being promiscuous and having sex with her friend, unbeknown to her friend's knowledge, which obviously made Meg look really bad and caused the argument in the first place, them fist fighting. All these things are things that Tory could have apologized for. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's apologizing because she was shot. And that's what I was trying to explain to Hassan. But his argument was, well, if he's apologizing, it must be for the fact that he shot her, which is a ludicrous comment, because by that logic, that means if you tell someone, hey, I'm sorry for your loss, that automatically means that I did something for said loss, which is wild to me, right? And then also, the gun. We can't conclusively say that Tory Lanez was in possession of the firearm because the DNA was inconclusive on the gun. The magazine didn't show his DNA on it at all, and the DNA on the gun was inconclusive, as testified by two different experts, the state's witness and Tory hired his own DNA guy.
And the gun was very small, by the way. It was super small.
It was a handgun.
Yeah.
And then Kelsey, right, the state's witness, who was supposed to come in and tie everything together, guys. She was the linchpin. She was supposed to come in and tie the bullets and everything else, saying, oh yeah, Tory beat on me, etc. She ends up giving a completely different story from what she told investigators back on the 22nd. And when the defense asked her, who did you feel pressure from? She said, did Tory or his team pressure you to give this testimony? And she said, no. And he was like, okay, well, who did? And she said, was it the prosecution? She said, yes. So obviously that made the prosecution look really bad. So the judge allowed the prosecution to bring in the 80-minute or so interview that the prosecutors had done with Kelsey, which, by the way, there was no investigator there. There was only prosecutors asking her questions, which is a big red flag in itself, because prosecutors are not supposed to be direct witnesses in criminal investigations. They can be present, but they're not supposed to be the direct witnesses. That's what the investigators are there for, which, again, the main investigator on this case was going through an admin investigation and or is potentially being fired at the moment, which is a huge issue because of Giglio and Brady. Now, you guys are probably wondering, what the fuck is Giglio? Giglio is when a law enforcement officer has a credibility issue, okay? And when they have a credibility issue, that affects their ability to testify. So in this case, since this detective had a Giglio problem, the prosecutors didn't want to put him on the stand, and he was not available for the trial, which, again, is a huge red flag to the defense's case, because the defense has to create what? Reasonable doubt. And the fact that the lead investigator was not available to testify and or involved in the investigation in the first place can be construed as, yo, this case was tainted. Okay. So that's something that has to be disclosed, by the way, from the prosecutor over to the defense. Anytime a law enforcement officer is going through an internal investigation, or they're in trouble, or they've been convicted of a crime, or whatever it is, the prosecutor has to disclose that to the defense and say, okay, by the way, these law enforcement officers, this guy's, got arrested before for a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence. This guy has a credibility issue. This guy got caught lying to internal affairs. All of this stuff needs to be disclosed to the defense, guys. Okay. So what else here? I got my notes here, guys. And then Meg gave a bunch of testimony that wasn't necessarily tied to what she had said prior. As we know, there were inconsistencies in IG Live. The prosecution said that originally in the opening statements that Tory shot at her, and then Kelsey got in between. Kelsey got in between Meg and Tory. Then Tory came in and started beating on Kelsey, which is why the pendant fell on the floor and the nail. But in Meg's testimony, she said that they both came at her at the same time. So again, this is a huge discrepancy because we're talking about a matter of seconds. Also, it doesn't make sense how Tory was sitting in the back seat behind the driver, and Meg gets out the front driver's seat where the gun was found, by the way, walks. Kelsey was sitting behind Meg, and in one situation, they testify that Kelsey was in the car when the shots were fired. And then when Kelsey testifies, she says, no, we were all outside the car when the shots were fired. So no one can conclusively really give a solid story here, which, again, what does this do? This creates reasonable doubt. So there's holes all over the testimony. There's holes all over the evidence. There's holes all over the investigators. There's holes over everything. And really what this all symbolizes to me, guys, is that, quite frankly, you got to protect yourself. This was a severe injustice. I'm not saying that Tory Lanez was innocent, but I'll tell you damn sure that the prosecution did not prove that he was guilty. And the fact that he was found guilty on all accords speaks volumes as to the climate that we're in now, guys. We live in a world where it's believe all women. And the fact that a witness can get on the stand and say, he shot me, and not be, and she was drunk, intoxicated, gave conflicting stories. She lied about certain things that were material to the investigation. Oh, me and Tory didn't have sex. Me and Kelsey didn't fist fight, when in fact all of that stuff was a lie. Yeah,
this is a big
this world that we're in, guys.
L for men. I'm telling you now, bro.
Yeah, this is a L all around. So for any of you guys, we got almost 10,000 y'all watching. You guys got to protect yourselves, man. We live in a clown world, and you got a bunch of people like Hassan, right? Lasan, that, they're going to believe the victim no matter what. She was shot, so that means she was believed. I'm not saying she wasn't shot. What I am saying is that she can't conclusively pick out the shooter, and the evidence doesn't show that. She said, oh, it was Tory, but she switched her story up multiple times. Is she telling the truth? Is she credible? I don't think so.
And then to wait a month to then say who it is? Come on, man.
Another case study in F&F doctrine: women live in mystique more powerful than reasonable doubt. Whenever a man surrenders his frame/power to that weapon unconsciously or otherwise, you truly open yourself up to moments that may ruin you as a man. And that's from Masim. Thank you. Myron, about to get activated. I appreciate that. This is from earlier, I assume. We're having this discussion.
Did you see Jay?
Real quick before I read the chats, guys, quick message from our sponsor. Hitting on this ninja. I appreciate that. From the 3 Diglets, we got Rolo Tomasi in the house. Chris, go back down. Okay. He goes, can someone please call Andrew Esquire legal mindset and school this drunk? Yeah, we absolutely can. Real quick. Let me hit up Andrew and see if he's available.
That was earlier though.
Yeah, no, I know. But because Hassan also made like a ludicrous argument. And I think y'all can hear it from lawyer. Can you read these real quick, Fresh?
Dude Glitz says, Hassan, you getting body right now, bro. LOL. All right. We have Daniel says, master debater is more like mental masturbator. Okay. KMO says, so someone who's never worked in law enforcement has the nerve to tell a former fellow agent that defended the country he doesn't know what he's talking about. This clown is a troll, Myron. That's facts, bro. Okay, we're gonna add right now a legal mindset. Andrew, Brother Bay says, falsus in uno, falsus omnibus is a Latin maxim meaning false in one thing, false in everything. At common law, it is legal principle that a witness who testifies falsely about one matter is not credible to testify about any other matter. That's very true, my friend. Daniel says, this guy's definition of a clout chasing clown, big L. He's talking about Lasan. And I think we're caught up here, right? Oh no, we got one more. Daniel says, this guy clutches at straws to build these arguments, weak-minded.
Yeah, and I don't know if y'all noticed it, but when I was talking with him, I would listen to his points and understand it and actually argue what he was saying versus I would say something, he'd give some ridiculous reaction like, what are you talking about? Try to shame the argument, say something about me personally, not attack the argument, attack me. And I mean, I'm not surprised. That's what he does. And this is what the left does a lot of times.
He's a master at deflecting.
Yeah.
And literally telling you, kind of talking over you and saying, you know what about this question? It's like, bro, we didn't handle the first one.
And he made a lot of arguments to emotion versus like facts. Well, Megan got shot, so we gotta like listen to everything she says. No, we don't, dude.
He said,
no one's disputing the fact that she got shot. We're disputing the fact that she might not necessarily know who shot her.
He said, I feel like, I'm like, bro, your feelings are irrelevant. It's facts here on the table.
Yeah.
So,
but again, y'all just saw like, yeah, that was wild, bro. I did not think that. And then, and here's the funny part, right? So he's like, yo, y'all aren't relevant like that, so I'm not going to debate. Okay, well, when Andrew was the most popular man on earth and we challenged y'all to a debate, why did you guys run then? Like they ran at that point too.
You know, it's funny.
Let me see. I think I might have even DM'd him and told him
he was
this.
choking up when academics was like, yeah, bro, you've been ducking him. He's like, well.
And then he proceeded to sit on the line for another 5 to 10 minutes and say, I gotta pee,
bro. Bro, anyhow, he's capped. Everyone can see that, bro, in the chat as well. We got Andrew online or no? Chris?
No, I don't see anything.
Not yet? Okay, cool.
Look, April 1st, if you're wanting to do the debate, then tell Ethan to stop running. Here, I'll show y'all this shit.
No, or you took a screenshot and you put it in the Telegram.
Yeah.
I'll show it.
Well, it's there.
Yeah. It's there. I said and this was on April 1st, which is like right around the time they were making all those bullshit accusations against us. Because keep in mind, guys, that I've never said anything negative about Hassan until you started making a bunch of hit pieces on us. He's made several videos talking shit about us, Sneeko, Andrew Tate, whatever it may be. And then when faced with, okay, well, let's have a discussion right now, runs away. So I don't want to hear anything about him, bro. He's like, when you, hold on.
Oh, we got Andrew here.
Oh, we got Andrew in the house? Yeah. Cool. Let's bring Andrew in real quick.
What's going on, guys?
In the house.
What up, Andrew?
Yo, what's up, Fresh? What's up, Myron? What's going on? You guys getting some bad legal advice?
Yeah, man. So we got a lawyer in the actual house here. So I guess I'll just bring you up to speed real quick. And for some of you guys are wondering, Andrew's out there in Korea, man. So it's a different time zone. So he was busy doing some stuff earlier with
Christmas Eve, baby.
With the stream.
Nice poster.
Thank you.
So, Andrew, what we were basically discussing was the Fifth Amendment. And what Sean was saying is that Kelsey has the right to the Fifth Amendment, etc. And what I was saying is that it's not necessarily that she doesn't have the right to the Fifth Amendment. I'm saying you can only exercise the Fifth Amendment if you might be prosecuted for a crime, if you have reasonable expectation of that, which he obviously didn't let me talk. And then I was saying that and then he also made the argument that Kelsey enjoys the Fifth Amendment privilege in the trial for Tory. And I was trying to say, well, not necessarily, because Tory's the only one that can exercise the Fifth Amendment in the courtroom for that trial and not be because he doesn't want to be prosecuted. So I guess I'll have you just take your take on it.
Myron, where did Hassan go to law school? Because I didn't know there was a law school certificate program for defending woke hoes. Is that a thing now? But no, I mean, look, yeah, and you've been in court, you've testified, you've seen this shit firsthand. We talked about this on Fedit, so I mean, you've got actual experience. I'm an actual lawyer. I don't know what the fuck Hassan knows in terms of legal knowledge, but point of the matter here is exactly right. The Fifth Amendment, yes, it does protect both the defendant and witnesses, but there's a difference there. The defendant is on trial. His life, liberty, and property are at stake. So the point is, you're trying to defend, first of all, the defendant because he's got the most at stake. It also, as a periphery thing, protects the witnesses, but it only protects them against their own criminal liability. They don't have to get up there if they reasonably believe, which is the actual legal test. If you reasonably believe what you say could lead you to being charged with a crime, being found guilty of a crime, you can choose to plead the Fifth. But you can't just plead the Fifth because you're like, nah, I don't want to, this is something I don't want to say. And also, once you get up there on the stand as a defendant, you waive that right. So if Tory Lanez had chosen to say, I'm gonna get on the stand now, he's totally waived that Fifth Amendment right to not answer anything. But if it applies to Tory Lanez, if Tory Lanez not testifying, because I believe in this trial he did not testify.
No, he didn't.
That cannot be held against Tory Lanez. And the jury is given a very specific instruction that says you may not hold Tory Lanez not testifying against him to lead to the fact that he's criminally culpable. There's plenty of reasons why innocent people don't want to get on the stand. That's because tricky shyster lawyers, much like myself, will put you in a shitty position by asking you questions that look like you're guilty. They can get up there and ask you ridiculous questions that make you look guilty. You don't have to be subjected to that as a defendant. You could say, I plead the Fifth, and that's why the judge tells the jury, you may not hold the silence of the defendant towards his guilt. Now, let me be real for you guys. They do that anyways, right? Because you can tell the jury not to do something and they can be like, oh, well, I feel a certain way about it, regardless of what the judge says. Because my channel, when I talk about legal mindset, I talk about the facts over the feelings. Look, this is the reality of how it goes down in court. Sometimes the jury, if you ask them and you're real with them and they're away from the courtroom, they'll say, yeah, the fact he didn't speak actually did convince me that he was guilty. They might actually tell you that even though the judge says no. But that's the law as it applies to the defendant. As it applies to the witness, they can use it for the purpose of assessing their credibility because the witness gets to testify. The witness gets to choose what they plead the Fifth on and not. It's not the same thing as a defendant. They can choose statements which they say, I plead the Fifth as to that statement. And why, oh, why did Kelsey ask for immunity? Why did she want to get use immunity? Myron, you can answer that. Why did she want immunity? Why would she want immunity? Why would a person ask the feds for immunity? You know better than anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, because they committed a crime during the course of whatever transpired, and they don't want to incriminate themselves. So, I mean, and here's the other thing too. Like he was trying to say, well, she's invoking her Fifth, but that people take the Fifth all the time where they're not necessarily guilty, which I guess is true. But in this situation, clearly she was guilty because she asked for immunity, Lasan. So it's like.
You can do that. And the thing is, she's not on trial. Yeah. What the jury is supposed to assess for every witness is their credibility. They are allowed to use everything, including the Fifth, to assess her credibility. She's not on trial. Megan is not on trial here. She's in trial in the court of public opinion because she's a lying 304, but that's not what she's not actually on trial here, right?
Yeah.
So that part is, yes, the Fifth Amendment does apply to Kelsey, but it doesn't apply in the same way and with the same strength.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the argument and confusion happens. That's what I was
trying to argue is that like she can take the Fifth, but she still got to testify, right, to a degree. And then on top of that, they can use that testimony against her to disqualify her as a witness. Because my biggest thing was I was saying Kelsey and Meg are both not credible witnesses. Like Kelsey lied straight up. She lied to investigators. Then she came in and gave a different story.
And changed her story. Yep.
Gave conflicting situations. And I said that by default means neither of them are credible witnesses. And he was saying, well, just because they didn't give, they gave conflicting accounts or they didn't tell the truth here or there, it doesn't mean that they're credible witnesses because Kelsey was suffering through postpartum depression and Megan was the victim and she got shot. And I said, well, that doesn't change anything. Just because she shot doesn't necessarily mean that she's a credible witness either.
No, you don't get to lie on the stand because you're pregnant. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, you know, that, I mean, whatever postpartum, whatever it is, like, that's not an excuse for you committing perjury, which, by the way, is a crime. I wish they prosecuted that one more because these people feel like they can get up on the stand and lie and just get away with it. But both of them were not credible witnesses. And from what we understand, what we reviewed, there wasn't a single credible witness there. I think knowing this is 3 guilties, when you texted me that on the train, I was like, bro, this appeal is looking real good right now. Like, this is looking like a very good appeal for Tory Lanez. Now, the presumption is in favor of the lower court, right? They do have a presumption that the fact finder is correct, but I think he can beat that on appeal.
So what are your thoughts on this? Obviously, I know you were surprised when I told you that he was found guilty on all counts, given us going through the case meticulously with the witness testimony, etc. What do you think the next course of action is for his legal team at this point?
Can he beat it?
File an appeal immediately. Can he win? Fresh, 100%. I wouldn't, honestly, here's the thing, Fresh. If you follow me or any of my content, I call it like it is. If somebody doesn't have a good chance of appeal, I'm like, yo, they're fucked, right? And if it's political, I'm like, yo, this guy's fucked too, right? It depends on where it is. But in this particular case, he's got so many things that went against him. The lack of credible witnesses, the charge, the lack of registration charge that I think violates the Second Amendment. I think that shit could go up to the Supreme Court. You could see Tory Lanez versus the state of California, because I think that charge needs to be thrown out, because no one in America should be thrown in jail for holding a loaded weapon that is not registered in their name. That's some bullshit. There's no requirement for a registry anywhere in our Constitution, so that can suck our founding fathers left nut. So that particular charge needs to go. The other two, I think we're already pushing it, and especially with the conflicting testimony, I think he's got a very good chance on appeal, because I don't think there's any way they got to a beyond a reasonable doubt standard here. Beyond a reasonable doubt. That means there's no doubt. There was so much doubt in this, you could drive the fucking Escalade through it. It was massive amounts of doubt in this case.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why, like, honestly, I'm shocked. I mean, you know, granted, of course, venue matters as well. You know, I was telling people that this occurred in Los Angeles, California, the headquarters of Wokey Land. So, of course, they're gonna, you know,
they're gonna protect their queen, Myron. You know it. They're gonna protect their queen, baby.
They're going to appeal to the fields. You know, academics and us were discussing if this had occurred in Florida or Texas, you know, I don't think he would have been convicted. But yeah, man, in California, it's wild. And there was an enormous amount of pressure to find Tory guilty because of the woke mob, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't be charged in Florida. Let's put it this way. This amount of bullshit, and we brought it up. If this was a federal case with the way they maintained the crime scene, they would have been laughed out. They would never have even brought this into court. The only reason why it's in court is that it's in the headquarters of California, Los Angeles, California. That is literally the center of the cancer that is eating away at the United States. So yeah, I absolutely think this is going to be something that goes up on appeal. I think this can go very far. I think he should fight this, and his team is probably already filing right now. And remember, he's a Canadian, so they really got to get on this, or else this could screw him in the future. It could end up deporting him in the future and preventing him from touring in the United States. So they've got to appeal this.
At this point, because of his conviction and what they said he deemed to be guilty, people don't care about the facts. So he's already doomed at this point. People don't care about the facts.
No, but here's the thing. They've got to bring this up. They've got to bring it up in appeal and get those facts out there. They've got to win that case. I mean, they've got to clear his name. That's the only option for Tory Lanez at this point. Otherwise, you're right. He is doomed.
Yeah, crazy, bro.
Yeah, I think they're gonna. Yeah, he needs to file. I mean, the appeal probably already went out automatically.
Yeah.
How long do you foresee this is going to take, this process?
Now the appeal process is slow, and California is probably even slower. Now, listen, I'm not a California attorney. I don't practice in California, but I would imagine it's going to take 6 months to a year to fully resolve, especially since he's got multiple charges.
There we go.
Here we go. A statement from Tory Lanez's lawyer goes, and quote, "We are shocked by the verdict. There was not sufficient evidence to convict Mr. Peterson. We believe this case was not proven beyond a reasonable doubt. We will be exploring all options, including an appeal." I've said it before. I'm not saying Tory's innocent, but the prosecution definitely didn't prove he was guilty either.
Right. And that's the burden is on them. And guys, that's the way it is. I mean, our system is set up that, you know, you're not supposed to be throwing people in there because you just kind of think you have a feeling they're guilty. They are supposed to be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That is the strongest standard of evidence. So short of aliens coming down or divine intervention, right? Things that don't really happen, right? You need to say, I think this guy is 100% guilty. That's where we're at. That's the standard that we have, and we did not see that in this case. We did not feel that in this case. Now, obviously, the finders of fact, the jury may have felt some way about certain evidence. Maybe they felt very strongly about some of the testimony that was given at court. We didn't have a view of that, which, by the way, is why I think all trials should be televised. So we should be able to see the reactions in court. And by the way, Myron, I think federal trials should be televised. And we've got the technology to hide the federal agents, to mask their voice, to, make sure their anonymity is preserved. We can do that for the feds, because I know they're scared. But we can do that for
the reason why they don't tape federal courts is, well, that's a part of it because of federal agents. And then also the other reason is because a lot of the times it becomes a circus when you bring cameras in and the media. But I think for a transparency standpoint, yes. I mean, any private citizen can go into a courtroom and watch a case. So they should televise it, all of them, for transparency purposes as well.
And they're keeping people out. They're trying to say, oh, well, only private citizens can do it. And so we're only letting the first 30 people in there. And all those people happen to be the media, happen to be people who are part of the mainstream media. This is bullshit. This is why we're getting filtered results, which is why people, when they want to watch trials, are coming over to lawyers like myself, Nick Rekieta, other lawyers that are like streaming. And we're just telling you the facts because these mainstream media outlets are straight lying about what is going on inside the courtroom.
Yeah. No, it's wild, man. So, yeah, I guess that's any thoughts on this, Andrew, besides that?
No, this is crazy, but this is an example of the next generation of warfare. A lot of people, we're seeing it, we're saying, oh, are we going to have open fighting in America? A lot of these battles are going on in the courtroom. They're happening with lawsuits, criminal charges, defamation, essay, grape allegations. All these sorts of things are going to happen in the courtroom, which is why it's important to pay attention to these things and why I pay attention to those on my channel. With Legal Mindset. So I'm going to be on this. I'll be covering the appeal when it comes up because I'm sure it will. And I'll obviously be down with you, Myron, anytime to talk about it on Fedit. And if we need to, if we need somebody who's probably got the average intelligence of the juror, we got Fresh too. So we're good here.
Thank you, my friend.
What do you say about I know this is, and I don't mean to move it to another case, but since I got you here, I know you've been covering this extensively and it covers the RP quite a bit. The Courtney Clenney case. And for those of you guys,
oh man, this one's
that stabbed her boyfriend out here in Miami.
Have you seen the new footage, the interrogation footage?
I have not seen it.
Oh, we got to do that sometime. Maybe we'll go do it on Fedit. But there's this interrogation footage. I got everything saved where she's in the room and she's fake crying and she's going out. But all the footage we've seen so far leads me to believe
she gave a statement. So she actually did talk to the police. She gave a statement.
She talked to the police. She made a lot of statements in that room. But the biggest thing that I'm getting from this is frankly that she was always afraid of him going in and turning her in for her physical and verbal abuse. She wanted to try to preempt this guy because she knew she was abusing this guy, and she's had friends testify the same, or not testify, but make statements to the media.
Yeah.
And I believe that trial is going to be huge in terms of outing the behavior of some of these girls and using their essentially simps. I hate to say it. I mean, the guy didn't deserve to be killed, but using them, targeting them, and what can happen if you stay with a girl like that? You can end up in a very, very bad place. And I feel horrible for his family.
One of the reasons she stuck by him was that he just gave her money and he let her abuse him.
Yes, and that every time that she would, for example, throw his bags over the rails, she would go to their apartment balcony, like you guys are there in Panorama. They were up there on Biscayne, not too far from you guys. Paradiso. You guys are Paradiso, right?
Yeah.
She would take when she's drunk or high or whatever she was intoxicated. She would take his luggage, throw it over the side of the balcony, just
felony in Florida.
And then
off a balcony is a felony in Florida.
You know what she would say? She would say, "Oh, it's okay because I just bought him all new designer stuff. It's fine."
Wow, incredible.
And imagine if the gender roles were flipped. Imagine if that was a man doing that to a woman. That guy would be in jail 10 ways from Sunday.
Yeah, he would have been in prison without even a thought, bro. That would have been an L for him automatically. Cops would have been there that day.
We punch a wall. We punch a wall once, and we're done. right?
Yep.
We're out of there. They're taking us in handcuffs. They're slapping the DV violation on us, even if we didn't touch them, right? So, I mean, we got to play by different rules, and that's why people have to be really careful in the United States, especially when you're living with a woman. This is something I talked about you the first time I came on your channel, Myron.
Yeah.
Back in the day, was when you cohabitate with a woman, you are opening yourself up to so much risk, not just getting stabbed, but getting your stuff thrown, getting your stuff destroyed, getting DV charges, getting restraining orders. All this is stuff you're opening up, even if your name is on the apartment, even if it's your place, you're opening yourself up to getting all these bad consequences with these OnlyFans girls. So I think that case is going to be insane. It's delayed. The next hearing is in February, so it may go around then, but I will definitely be covering that one.
Yeah. All right. We'll definitely cover that one together because I think that's very important for guys to learn some lessons. But Andrew, where can people find you, man?
Legalmindset.locals.com is my private community. My channel is Legal Mindset. Please follow that one. I'll be, obviously doing my own rage stream on this one, maybe with some shots involved. But this is just an example of people taking advantage of the system. And this is the shit I don't stand for on my channel. And I call it like I see it. I think I'm the only red pill lawyer, and I'm happy to be here dropping those truth bombs.
Yes,
Big
sir.
facts, man. RP awareness and a lawyer, clarifying some things with you guys as far as the Fifth Amendment goes. Which Lasan was very wrong on.
Once again, just ask him what law school he went to, because a lot of these guys, especially, they're out there on Twitter, they're out there on YouTube, they think they know the law, they think they know the Constitution. You've been out there applying it on the streets for how long? You were out there doing it as part of your job. You know it better than he does. And then I got the theory to back that up and the practice to back that up. So I mean, this guy, once again, he's learned something he heard on a YouTube video or a TikTok. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah, and he cited a Supreme Court case where the person can assert the Fifth, but what he failed to mention is that you can only assert the Fifth if you reasonably believe you can be prosecuted. And in this case, Kelsey no longer had that reasonable expectation of being prosecuted because she was given immunity. And that's what I was telling Lasan, and he could not understand that concept. And he was saying, well, if she's asserting the Fifth, that doesn't necessarily mean she's guilty. Well, in this situation, she's asserting the Fifth to protect herself from what? Committing a crime. I mean, what do you come on, man, common sense.
Right. And they can cite, that's what people try to do. It's appeal to authority. Say, let me just cite Griffin versus California. I'm like, okay, what year was that? What's the holding of that? Who are the judges? You just see something on the internet that cites that. You got the little clip. Maybe you got it off of your website, when you got your speeding ticket or DUI and you see that little clip on the law firm website. You don't understand what that means fundamentally. That's why it's different talking to somebody who knows what they're talking about and somebody who,
because context matters. Like he's citing that, but he doesn't understand that. Kelsey doesn't qualify for that because she got immunity. Done.
Yes.
Just like Gunna, for example, signed a plea deal. He's not going to be charged with any more crimes. So therefore, he can't sit there and take the stand when they call him in for the YSL trial. You can only assert the Fifth if you can actually be prosecuted for something and reasonably expect so. If you're given immunity or you assign the fucking plea deal, guess what happens? You can no longer reasonably expect that you'll be prosecuted. And that's what I was trying to explain to Lasan.
That's the whole thing. It's like if she is culpable of something, which let's be real, like straight facts, that bitch did something. Like she would not be this worried about it, would not be pleading the Fifth, would not be asking for immunity if she was not potentially culpable of something. So there's something there. There's something there that she wanted to get immunity for. Now she got it, right? She got that immunity. And can you look at that as part of her lack of credibility? Absolutely.
Yep.
She's not on trial. In her trial, when she wants to plead the Fifth and not talk at all, that's fine. But here's the thing: we'll probably never see that trial.
Yeah, and he was trying to say that that doesn't affect her, or whatever. And I was like, but it does hurt her credibility as a witness. And he didn't understand. Whatever, it is what it is. I mean, the guy wasn't there to actually debate ideas. He was there to try to make ad hominem attacks and say,
He's trying to clout chase. He's trying to bust your nuts. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is, man. You're gonna have these haters coming for you. But
do you want to do I'm gonna do the Gunna plea deal with YSL this Sunday. If you want to jump in, Andrew, let me know. We could.
Okay, I'll text you. I'll text you about that one.
All right, cool. Guys, check us out on Rumble, rumble.com/FreshandFitMan. Hope you guys enjoyed this talk. Shout out to Andrew as well in the back. Go subscribe to him. Legal Mindset, good friend of ours. And other than that, man, I guess we'll
more chats?
Okay, 3 more chats. Lasan, if you believe Myron made the logical fallacy of speaking from authority, then what is the point of expert testimony? And that's from Alvin Sam. Bam. And then this is probably the most egregious conviction injustice in hip-hop history, and in recent memory, I'm honestly at a loss for words. It's evident that our current culture climate is seeping into courts. The DA did not prove anything. This is a sad time we are in. woke verdict, and that's from Silhouette. I agree with you, my friend. But hopefully he can get this thing on appeal. Hope you guys enjoyed that stream. We gave y'all everything between, having discussions with academics, having discussions with Lasan Lobby, bringing on a lawyer, talking about the Fifth Amendment. Hope this was educational to you guys. And the main takeaway you could take away from this thing is you got to protect yourselves. Don't get drunk. Don't be an idiot. And don't live in California and have a firearm around you.
And record whenever you can. Also, as well, tonight's no after hours. So
yeah, no after hours tonight, guys.
Happy holidays.
Gave y'all an extra stream.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
We'll
Hanukkah.
be back on Monday for Money Monday with you guys.
Yeah.
And love you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys on Monday. Peace.
Hey guys, don't dabble in the dark.
I ran so